to Atlanta, Fulton County Stadium for today's contest as the visiting Green Bay Packers take on the playoff hopeful Atlanta Falcons. If the season were to end today, these 6 teams would be in, yes, including Atlanta. But the Falcons cannot afford a misstep as these teams, not including Green Bay, are right on their heels. And good afternoon, everyone. I'm James Brown along with Randy Cross. And Randy, just a little unusual to hear the name Atlanta in the playoff hunt in December, but a last-minute switch. Chris Miller, the starting quarterback, out with the flu. Billy Joe Tolliver in.
I don't expect that to be a big deal, James. Tolliver fits that swaggering winning style Jerry Glanville brought down here to Atlanta.
All right, now on the other side, Green Bay made a move in the front office. Ron Wolf is the new executive vice president. What effect there?
For the players, not very much. For the coaches, a lot of effect. I think the next 4 games go a long way towards seeing our answer as far as will Lindy and Fonnie be the head coach at Green Bay in 1992.
Green Bay has won the coin toss, has elected to receive. Norm Johnson will be kicking off for the Atlanta Falcons, back deep among others. Charles Wilson, the second leading kickoff returning man in the NFC. And we're underway on doubleheader Sunday here on CBS. And 6 yards deep in the end zone, wisely, the Packers decide to down a touchback. Will be brought out to the 20-yard line. Mike Tomczak getting his 4th consecutive start for the Packers, coming off of a miserable week last week against the New Orleans Saints. An offensive line, one of the biggest in captivity, finally got a chance to run block last week and did a great job. Backs and receivers, Woodside, Thompson. Wide receivers, Perry Kemp and Sterling Sharp. Among the public, Sterling Sharp probably still the best kept secret at wide receiver.
And throwing to Sterling Sharp's a big key today, James. Green Bay will try to run, but the big thing is protecting Tomczak and getting the ball to Sharp.
Tomczak to pass right off the bat with time. And throws it incomplete to Darrell Thompson. Had it on his fingertips. Will bring up a 2nd and 10 against this Atlanta defense.
And defending against Sharp and company, Deion Sanders out there on the corner along with Tim McKyer on the other side. Up front, these Falcons, they're quick, they're slanters, and I think they can give this big offensive line a lot of problems for Green Bay. The linebackers are quick and they're movers. Lyles, Rady, Tuggle, and Connor. And the defensive backs with Case and Jordan at the safeties, McKyer and Sanders, the best cornerback duo in the NFL.
Sharp and Kemp to the near side. Woodside to the far side. 2nd and 10. On the ground. And Thompson running hard for about 7 yards. That will bring up a 3rd and 3 tackle by Scott Case.
A good example of what Green Bay told us yesterday. This is a defense we have to be patient with. We're going to call a run and we're going to get -1 yard, -2 yards. But if we get push and we maintain surface on our blocks like they did there, we can pop our runners inside. Look for Thompson to run a lot more inside today. He showed last week against the Colts. If he can get him some momentum, he's a big, quick, effective fullback.
Had 63 yards on 15 carries last week. 6 defensive backs. In for the Falcons, Brian Mitchell and Bobby Butler on 3rd and 3. Tomczak sacked. And it's a loose ball. And it looks to be the Falcons' ball. And Atlanta does that extremely well. Jesse Tucker recovered the fumble. 20th quarterback sack of the season for Atlanta.
There is no one in the NFL that ball hawks better than these Atlanta Falcons. And you see Louis Cheek is beat absolutely off the line of scrimmage by Darian Connor. Tomczak told us yesterday, I can't get any clean shots from the back. I don't expect it. And to be honest with you, I'm not really responsible if I drop it, if I can't see it coming. Great example there. It's stripped out.
Darian Connor, 2.5 sacks on the season. Great field position for the Falcons. 1st and 10. Ball at the 22 of Green Bay. Play action. Tolliver throws it complete to Andre Bruce. And Andre Bruce for the 1st down. Well, Randy, the Falcons may finally have found a home for Andre Bruce.
Seriously, James, for the first time since this young man's been here in Atlanta, everyone is talking in glowing terms about Andre Bruce, about his, not only his potential, but the actual tools that he has. They say he's a good blocker. He's a guy, once he gets a hold, he can really block. They say he spent hours upon hours in the last 3 or 4 weeks working on his pass receiving. And those little spin moves, you don't learn those. Those are things you're born with.
First and 10 from the 11. 3 wide receivers. Pegram, the lone back. Pegram, the ball carrier. And the rookie inside the 5 to the 4-yard line. A gain of 7, finally tackled by Scott Stevens. Randy, you mentioned at the top that Billy Joe Tolliver being at quarterback doesn't change things one iota. This is one tough customer. And the offensive line, anchored by Mike Ken and Chris Hinton, 11 Pro Bowls between them. Mike Ruther, the utility guy, in for the injured Bill Fraley. Running back is a revolving door by design policy for Joe Glanville. 4 wideouts when we see the red gun offense. 2nd and 3. Ball at the 4. Patriots. Touchdown, Atlanta. First rushing touchdown of the season for the rookie out of North Texas State.
We saw Pegram headbutting with Billy Joe Tolliver on the sideline. Tolliver didn't have his helmet on at the time. But a good job by the Falcons offensive line. They kept that surface on their blocks. Pegram was patient, and bad pursuit backside by the Packers opened up that hole in the defense.
Norm Johnson, 23 of 24 in points after touchdowns. And this one is good. So the Falcons capitalize on a Green Bay fumble and lead it by 7. Falcons on top 7-0. Randy, not a good way to start for the new boss if you're Green Bay.
And Ron Wolf right here in the middle, the new executive vice president and general manager of the Green Bay Packers. He has powers, James. No one really since Vince Lombardi has had these kind of powers at Green Bay. He's got more power than any executive ever has at Green Bay, and I think it's a great move by this organization. Put one person in centralized control. Let him build his team. Just like running back by committee doesn't work, ownership by committee doesn't work either.
Total football control. Norm Johnson kicking off for the Falcons. Charles Wilson back deep for Green Bay. And it's Webb, the rookie, taking it. And Webb across the 20 to about the 22-yard line. So first action for the rookie, Chuck Webb, and a lot of people in Green Bay have been waiting to see this guy play.
Well, he passed his first early test here of the 1991 season in his season, getting cracked like that on a kickoff. Remember, this guy has not been hit live by a real live body since last year at Tennessee, and it was something that Lindy Infante was a little bit hesitant about. How is this guy going to react? Will he hold on to the ball? Well, he proved he can. Maybe we'll see him more on offense.
He was quite disappointed not having played the last 2 games. We'll see if he can show out today. Sterling Sharp to the near side. 1st and 10. Ball at the 22. Tom Zach, good time. Throws it complete across the 25 to the 26. As Jackie Harris, the big tight end, 2nd-year player out of Northeast Louisiana, hauls it in. Lindy Infante, very, very high on Jackie Harris as a tight end.
Well, he's a tight end that not only can block, but he can get deep in zones and he can cause problems. They've got Ed West, who's an excellent tight end. You saw that Indianapolis score, just for your information. Eric Dickerson started at halfback for the Colts in that game.
You think the Colts are glad to have him back?
For the next 4 games.
Yeah.
Then I'd say they'd be glad to have him somewhere else in the way he's been acting.
2nd and 5, 2 tight end formation. West and Harris on the ground. And an excellent run for the first down by Darrell Thompson. I mentioned last week Thompson 15 carries for 63 yards. Best job by a running back for the Packers this season.
In the running game, there are 2 key people for the Green Bay Packers, and they're at the right guard and right tackle position, Hallstrom and Tony Mandarich. On a kind of a sprint draw, handled the slant and the stunt by the Atlanta Falcons perfectly, walling off that side of the line. You don't see holes that big in defenses too often. There's Big Tony with his tattoo on one arm, got one little barbed wire on the other side.
Playing well this year, Randy.
Very, very well.
1st and 10. Ball marked at the 35. On the ground again, and Thompson spinning, flag on a play. But Darrell Thompson takes it across the 45. We'll see if it's brought back. There's a flag in the backfield.
That'll be holding in the offensive line, James, inside. And that is a problem when you're playing quick slanters and movers. If they get by you, there is a tendency to grab.
Referee Gordon McCarter.
Holding, number 63, offense. 10 yards, repeat first down.
That's James Campen, the fifth-year player out of Tulane, who took back over the starting position at center in place of Blair Bush, who started last week.
James Campen, really his forte is pass blocking. It isn't so much run blocking. Here he is in the middle, right in front of the quarterback, Tomczak. Let's see what he does. Working against Mo Gardner. That's sort of a takedown, yeah.
From the 25, first and 20. 3 wideouts in for the Packers. This is Kemp in motion. On the ground, and back on the ground goes Darrell Thompson. A loss of 3 on the play. Boy, this quick defense of Atlanta looking good. Randy, an undersized defense as they go, but boy, they use that speed and quickness well.
Well, they really are, but I mean, one of the few non-undersized guys in that line is Oliver Barnett, number 72, who just made that play at 285 pounds. He came clean right under Lewis Cheek, working over the left tackle of the Green Bay Packers, and just planted the running back.
Second-year player out of Kentucky. Bobby Butler in for the Falcons, replacing strong safety Brian Jordan. Second and 22.
But the Falcons to bring the blitz big here after Tomczak.
Tomczak has to get rid of it quickly and nearly throws an interception as Bobby Butler was shadowing Sterling Sharp. And the pressure that time came from Rick Ryan, the 8th-year veteran out of Oklahoma. And Randy, we talked about the excited feeling amongst the vets here in Atlanta. He was one of the guys, Rick Ryan, who was excited.
That's right. Had his best game last week working against Tony Mandarich right here. He is going to come inside. I think the problem on this is as Mandarich opens up, so does Hallstrom. No one picks up Ryan. Ryan had 15 tackles working last week against the New Orleans Saints and caused a crucial fumble in the game that really won the game for Atlanta.
Third and 22. 6 DBs in for the Falcons. Flag on the play as it's thrown complete. And Wilson takes it up near first down territory, about 4 yards shy, but there is a flag on the far 20.
That was a little early movement there, James. There were guys jumping all over the place.
You were talking about Rick Ryan. Boy, he got a big compliment from Tony Mandarich.
Well, he told us he thought he was one of the top. He was one of the top 2 guys he will play against this year.
And it looks like Bobby Butler will be the culprit here for Atlanta.
And here's 23, Bobby Butler. Little cornerbacks, they're not used to lining up this close to the ball. Bobby, watch the ball. Don't move. Jeez, I hate when that happens, don't you? Guys get out of position.
Especially from a guy who's been around 11 years out of Florida State, an excellent football player, occasional gaps. Third and 17. Tomczak with time and throws it complete to Kemp for the first down across midfield. Commodore Perry Kemp, 5th-year player out of California, a 23-yard pass play from Tomczak to Kemp.
And here's Perry Kemp working at the top of the screen. You know that California, James, not to be confused with Cal Berkeley. This is California, Pennsylvania Perry Kemp came out of. And he's got a general manager and executive vice president right now in Ron Wolf, who says he prefers guys from big colleges. Because I want guys that used to play in front of 60, 70,000 people. Perry Kemp didn't do too bad in front of about 10 or 12,000.
And he just says that dude Kemp, California, he'll let you figure out Pennsylvania. As Thompson trying to figure out a way to get a bit more running room, runs for 4 straight ahead. All right now let's take you back to New York and Greg Gumbel.
All right, JV, let's take you to Joe Robbie Stadium. We're on 4th and inches at the Miami 2. Reggie Cobb skirts left end for a 2-yard touchdown run, and the Bucks lead the Dolphins 7-0 in the first, James.
All right, Greg, and the battle down in the state of Florida. Miami still with the shot at being involved in the postseason.
And up in the state of New York, James, the Jets are ahead of Buffalo right now, 7-0 on a Brad Baxter touchdown run.
2nd and 6 for Green Bay. trailing by 7-0 to Atlanta. Play action. Tomczak has time, throws it complete to Harris, and Harris with yet another first down. Ball will be marked near the 37-yard line. Harris finally tackled by Brian Jordan. So with 7:07 left in the first period of play, Atlanta capitalizing on a Green Bay fumble leads at 7-0.
I'm a little surprised at this point, James, that Atlanta is not coming after Mike Tomczak with the house, as Green Bay refers to it, just throwing everything they can at him. They're bringing 4 or 5 guys at a time at him, but it's really out of character not for them to come after as aggressively as possible. You see Jerry Glanville standing there next to Doug Shively, his defensive coordinator.
Maybe Glanville has something up his sleeves. We'll see. Out of the I formation. 1st and 10. Ball at the 38. Tomczak looking for Sterling Sharp and overthrows him. Sharp was being defended by Deion Sanders. Scott Case was on top of Jackie Harris.
And that's a problem Mike Tomczak has had in the last few weeks with his receivers. At least a couple times a game, they hook up when he throws long. They go long when he throws out. It's just something when you're a backup quarterback and just get into these games in the middle of the year, your sync isn't catching up quite yet with the receivers.
And Tomczak was certainly out of sync last week against the Colts. 5 of 17. Yes, a Green Bay victory, but not impressive statistically for him.
Though he did have a couple drops and guys ran a couple bad patterns, the reflection always comes back on the quarterback.
2nd and 10 from the 38. And outside with no place to run. And there's the swarming defense, Randy, you were talking about. A loss of 1 on that play.
Now, these are the situations Green Bay does not want to be in. 3rd and 11 against this defense down here, especially when you're on their half of the field. This is where you have to think Atlanta's going to come after them. I really think they'll bring at least 6 guys after Mike Tomczak right here.
We'll watch out for that and take a look at Tim Green. An undersized right end, 6'2", 245. 3rd and 11. 4 wideouts in for the Packers. Tomczak out of the shotgun. Flag on the play. And it's picked off by Bobby Butler. And Butler, and he can't do that. Cannot throw it forward without a doubt. And Butler knows better as well. But there is a flag on the play. Well, the heat came, as you indicated, Randy, and not a good throw by Tomczak. And it's offsides against Atlanta.
Well, the heat came on the quarterback there, James, but the heat came out of a 4-man front. They only brought 4. They dropped 7 in coverage.
Offside, number 23 defense lined up in the neutral zone. 5 yards, repeat 3rd down.
We're going to have Bobby
Butler. Second time for Bobby.
We should suggest maybe Bobby Butler works with the defensive line next week and practice on some of those ball movement drills. That's his 2nd one.
And if that's correct, maybe he's been taking too many notes from
Okay, now wait a minute. I want to correct Gordon McCarter. Here's Bobby Butler up here on the line. Here's Tim McKyer, number 22, who is lined up in the neutral zone. A little number flaw, but it was McKyer, 22, not Butler.
So it's 3rd and 6 on the 34. And it's complete to Sterling Sharp for the first down. Sharp inside the 20. And flags on the play. If the play stands, Sterling Sharp extends his consecutive game reception streak to 52.
Personal foul, number 56 on the defense. Late hit Sterling after the play. Half the distance from the dead ball spot, first down.
And that was Darian Connor, the second-year player out of Jackson State.
Way on the outside, on the right-hand side, you see Deion Sanders chucks Sterling Sharp, but Sharp releases inside. Being the bigger, more physical football player, gets away from Sanders. Now watch Darian Connor, 56, coming in here late. The whistle's blown. One more time. We're going to call Connor from coming in here with his helmet right there. Looks like he got Deion Sanders more than he got Sterling Sharp, though.
First and goal from the 9. Thompson, flag on a play, and Thompson is dropped right back at the line of scrimmage. 2 flags on the play.
We got 2 flags in 2 different areas, James. We might have a double infraction. I love it, though. You have 2 guys drop a flag. You have 5 guys meet and talk about it.
2 fouls against the offense. Holding, number 65. Illegal motion. 2 men moving before the snap and not resetting.
Well, I guess if you're going to do it good. Ron Hallstrom, the first culprit.
And that's not a hard decision there. They will take the holding penalty and push him back. And this type of field position puts Green Bay into the must-pass category this far out from the goal line, unless they're going to throw a screen. But you don't expect that out of the Packers because they don't have the big mobile linemen that do well getting out in front of screens.
You made the point also that with those big linemen on the part of Green Bay, maybe they should be a bit more powerful, if you will, in terms of the way they run block as opposed to all the games.
Well, their style really kind of makes me wonder at times because they do a lot of quick slipping and quick hitting type things, where they're dealing with 2 linemen on 1 lineman. When you're that big, just man up and mush them.
First and goal from the 19. And Tomczak calls for a timeout. Tomczak, a little confusion on the offensive end, wants to sort it out. Packers trailing by 7.
CBS Sports coverage of the National Football League is sponsored by the Card, the American Express card. Don't leave home without it. Delta Airlines, we love to fly, and it shows. And by Bugle Boy Company, because any closet without Bugle Boy is an empty closet.
A lot of building going on here in Atlanta, including a new home for the Falcons, the Georgia Dome, set to open August 22nd in time for the new season.
And this will be the last game here that CBS will do in Atlanta Fulton County Stadium. I like these stadiums. The last thing the world needs is another indoor ballpark.
You sound like Chris Spielman. He hates him. First and goal from the 19. Complete to Kemp. And Kemp stopped at about the 11. The original line of scrimmage is back at the 9.
Very impressive possession so far for the Green Bay Packers. Something they haven't managed to do very often this season is maintain ball possession for long chunks of the clock.
Matter of fact, their time of possession average on the season, 26-24, 26 minutes, 24 seconds, one of the lowest in the league.
And that goes back to getting behind quickly and having to pass a lot. You don't hold the ball very often.
Second and goal from the 10. And Tomczak throws it in the dirt. The intended receiver was Kemp again. Scott Case right there providing the coverage. 3:35 left in the first quarter of play. Atlanta on top, 7-0. James Brown along with Randy Cross.
This isn't how the Rolling Stones sang it, but this is how the Green Bay Packers play it. This should really be a 27-team graphic. Let's scratch out 28 in Buffalo. With that no huddle and the way they run that offense, they don't even qualify for this thing. The Green Bay Packers have had a really bad year as far as offensive possession goes. I mean, it's way, way bad.
Third and goal. 4 wideouts. Sterling Sharp in motion. Incomplete ball thrown behind Perry Kemp, but there is a flag on the play. Tim McKyer was the cornerback providing the coverage. And McKyer may have had a hand on him, literally.
When you get that angle.
Pass interference, number 22 defense. Automatic first down at the start of the foul. First and goal.
And that's your ex-teammate, Randy Cross.
Here's the ISO at the top of the screen with McKyer inside, working against Sharp. As he breaks inside, I'm saying working against Kemp. as the contact is made, which you can't see, you see the arm wrapping originally was going for the ball. The backside arm gets on the back, and that's what the official back in here calls as the penalty.
Ball spotted at the point of the foul. First and goal from the 4. Harris in motion. Play action, a boot. A flag on the play as Tomczak throws it forward to Sharp. Touchdown, Green Bay. There is a flag. 2 flags, as a matter of fact. One on the far side, 8, and the other the near side goal line.
They must agree on something.
Offside, nose guard defense. Penalty decline, touchdown.
So the touchdown stands. Mo Gardner, the nose guard for Atlanta, the culprit.
We can't see where Gardner's lining up there right over the ball. Actually, it wasn't Gardner. It was Torrey Epps, 74, lined up in that kind of cockeyed look next to the center in the gap and lined up in the end zone. Great improvisation by Tomczak, as that looked to be a quarterback run the entire way.
Chris Jackie on for the point after, and we've got a tie ball game here in Atlanta, all knotted at 7 apiece. 3:25 left in the first quarter of play. All even here in Atlanta. Green Bay 7, Atlanta 7. 3:25 left in the first quarter of play. And Green Bay 13 plays covering 78 yards and almost 9 minutes off the clock. Mike Tomczak, the 4-yard push, if you will, to Sterling Sharp. Sharp with only his 3rd touchdown reception of the season. No T on this one, huh?
Must have left it in Green Bay.
Chris Jackie will kick it off the grass. Nice job as Fishback takes it from the goal line. And Fishback grabbed by the ankles by Burnell Dent. I kind of like the way you talked about that. I guess that's the dog in the mailman tackle, huh?
Dog's got that mailman by the leg, and he can't get away. And one guy that did get away is on that last touchdown play, Sterling Sharp, working right here against Deion Sanders. Watch Sanders kind of bite. He's looking in. He sees it's a run. He says, oh, he's blocking me. I'm getting off for the tackle. And when he releases off Sharp, Tomczak sees it. And no way Tuggle can get there in time to defend that pass or that flip or that shot put or whatever you want to call that.
So the Falcons take over. Ball at their own 19. Michael Haynes comes to the near side along with Andre Rison. Rison and Pritchett in the slot. 4 wideouts. This is the red gun offense, and flags on the play. As the play clock looks like it got down to 0.
Looks like the red gun shot itself in the foot there.
Delay of game, offense, 5 yards, still first down.
And without a steel-toe shoe, I guess that could hurt, huh?
It's an owie. Qualifies as an owie. You're not allowed to miss a game with that kind of thing. And the Green Bay D up front, they're 2 gappers. And by 2 gappers, I mean they like to stuff offensive linemen and play the run. The linebackers, keep an eye on 90, Tony Bennett, 10 sacks, a real comer in this league. Clark, Butler, Cecil, and Murphy. Expect Clark to be tested short, deep, and often.
First and 15. Ball at the 14. Oliver out of the shotgun. Throws it complete to Rison. And Rison up not too far from the first down marker needed to get to the 30. Let's see where they mark it. And they mark it at the first down spot. So it's a first down for Atlanta. Not quite a packed house here in Atlanta at Fulton County Stadium. Good game on the field here in the first quarter. Green Bay and Atlanta all tied at 7 apiece. Green Bay fumbled in the first quarter. Atlanta capitalized. Eric Pegram a 4-yard run. Green Bay answered back. Sterling Sharp takes a 4-yard pass from Mike Tomczak. First and 10. Ball at the 30. Billy Joe Tolliver throws it incomplete, looking for Floyd Dixon. Dixon looked in. Ball went over.
Well, Tolliver threw a 20-yard out pass. Unfortunately, Dixon ran a 15-yard out.
Net effect, second down. Randy, Billy Joe Tolliver, one tough-nosed kid. We had a chance to talk to him a few weeks back. We did the game in Washington, and you like him a lot.
I really do. He's the kind of guy that will sit back there in the pocket. You can hit him, you can knock him down. He's got enough guts and enough moxie. He'll stand there until he gets a chance to hurt you.
Red gun offense, 4 wide receivers. Pegram, the lone back for Atlanta. 2nd and 10. Pegram on the draw. And Pegram up to about the 38-yard line. A gain of 9 on the play. Will bring up a 3rd and 1. Eric Pegram, alias the Pilgrim by Jerry Glanville.
Jerry Glanville's got a nickname for everybody on this team. Doesn't matter who it is. He's got a nickname. Some of which you can talk about and some of which you can't mention.
No, not with Jerry Glanville.
I think it was a record so far for us, James, today. 3 plays in a row, no flags.
Atlanta came into the game with 83 penalties. League average was 73. They've got 5 today. 3rd and 1. On the ground to Pegram. And Pegram hops across. This will be close. Trying to see if the hop was a good 1-yard hop or not, and it was, as Gordon McCarter signals Johnny Holland with the tackle.
I talked about the defensive linemen being 2-gappers. Watch these guys in here. They will play right through their men and try to stuff this run. They got this first down, but Robert Brown working on Chris Hinton sheds him off quickly. This is a top-notch run defense here with Green Bay. Their problem has been getting beat by the pass.
Pegram at 5'9", 188, slithered through the hole. 1st and 10. Ball at the 41. 45 seconds left in the first quarter play. Play action. Tolliver going up top for Michael Haynes. And this is one thing that Atlanta is very capable of, Randy, the big play, and Michael Haynes, none better in the league than him.
And defensive coordinator Hank Bullough from the Green Bay Packers, I asked him a question yesterday. I said, Hank, what is the most effective way to neutralize team speed here in football? And he looks at me and goes, I'll give you a simple answer. Don't let nobody get behind you.
What a great response. Hey, play back as far as you have to, right?
That's what they do. You know, they'll play their safeties, Murphy and Cecil, back a step or 2. Play the corners a little softer off the receivers. With speed like Haynes and Thomas and Rising, you have to do that to keep them from getting behind you.
2nd and 10 from the 41. Rising in motion. Pegram. And flags on the play. Delay of game again, maybe. Play clock down to zip with 36 seconds left in the first quarter. And the 6th penalty on the Falcons.
Now you saw how quickly Tolliver right there was outside the huddle, looked over to the sideline, got his signal, goes into the huddle. He'll call this play, and they'll get it off with plenty of time to spare. That's the problem a lot of times nowadays with teams signaling things in. Because the coordinator upstairs has a suggestion. The head coach has a suggestion. They decide what the play is. They give it to the signaler. He gives it to the quarterback. And the quarterback in his defense sometimes doesn't have much time to get it off.
Well, that delay in communication results in a 2nd and 15 from the 36. Tolliver looking for George Thomas, and he throws it away. For those who may not know, certainly Jerry Glanville does, Billy Joe Tolliver is playing with a fractured thumb on that passing hand of his. And Randy, it was interesting, he told us a few weeks ago he didn't even know that there was a fracture back to his college days in the same thumb.
He fractured it on Friday before they played the Washington Redskins, and when the game they were blown out so badly. But Tolliver fractured that thumb. They x-rayed it and found out he had an old fracture in there from his days at Texas Tech.
4 wide outs on 3rd and 15. Tolliver nearly intercepted, and a good job of tipping it by the rookie Vinnie Clark out of Ohio State. Making his 3rd start in the secondary for Green Bay. Real confident youngster, huh?
I tell you, Tolliver's a confident guy too, but he's been standing back the last 3 plays. Looks like a rocket launcher. He's just sort of standing there by himself, and then he's lobbing these things out there, and he hasn't even been close on the last 3 passes to his receivers long.
Fifth leading punter in the NFC, Scott Bullhead, putting this one back, and Query taking it from the 15. And Query gets it back up near the 30. Jeff Query returning punts in place of the injured Vi Sikahema, a 15-yard return.
You see Keith Rowan, the offensive line coach, working with Jamie Dukes and Mike Ken, trying to figure out, okay, now you take him, we're going to slip off on that backer, but they're trying to figure out a way to get their running game going, because the passing game with Billy Joe Tolliver in for Chris Miller with that 103 temperature in the flu, right now the passing game is not being very effective, and they've got to have the running game to take a little bit of pressure off of Billy Joe.
Schools in session throughout the year. 1st and 10 for the Pack. 10 seconds left in the first quarter of play. Tomczak throws it complete to Thompson, and Thompson has the first down across the 40 to about the 43. Tackled out of bounds by Jesse Tuggle. And that's the end of the first quarter with the score all tied at 7 apiece here in Atlanta. We'll be back with the second quarter after this. The skyline of Atlanta, the city of the 1996 Olympics. Shot provided for us by our airship Shamu. Nice looking shot there. The Goodwill ambassador for the SeaWorld Parks. Hard to believe that ship is actually 7 stories high, Randy. I guess hard to get a good picture of that from down here.
And I've seen the real McCoy in the waters off of Alaska. That's a lot friendlier looking than those real killer whales, believe me.
1st and 10. Ball at the 44. Start of the second quarter here in Atlanta. And Thompson trying to turn a corner. Not going to get there. Give the credit to Mo Gardner, the rookie out of Illinois. Randy, this game really does feature some excellent nose tackles in Mo Gardner for Atlanta and Isara Tuaolo for Green Bay.
Probably right now in the NFC, these 2 guys are battling it out for NFC Defensive Rookie of the Year. Both being very effective. Gardner's a little bit ahead on tackles. Tuaolo's a little bit ahead on sacks. But they're both guys that have given good sparks to defenses that last year struggled a little bit at their positions.
Second and 14. Ball at the 40. Tomczak looking for Big Ed West, and it's incomplete as Ed West runs into Scott Case. All right, now let's take you back up to New York and Greg Gumbel.
All right, JB, we'll take you to Joe Robbie Stadium in Miami, where from 6 yards out, Dan Marino finds Mark Duper in the end zone for the touchdown. Second quarter now, 7-7. Sevens are wild today, James.
All right, Greg, and tied up 7-7 here.
And here in Atlanta has come out kind of flat, a little emotionless right now in a game they really need to win. But remember, 2 weeks ago against Tampa, 0-0 after 1 quarter. In the second quarter, this team scored 33 points.
4 wideouts in for the Packers. Tomczak. And throws it complete for the first down to Eric Affolter. The first pass caught in the career of Affolter, the player out of USC. And what a story there. 19-yard pass play.
Affolter was on IR longer than any other person in Green Bay history. But look at the pocket that's formed for Tomczak. You give a quarterback time like that, he is going to find an open receiver, and Affolter does a very good job of getting open over the middle late. See, Tony Mander is working at right tackle, working against Mo Gardner. They went against each other a little bit when Gardner was Illinois and Bandage was at Michigan State. Manders got away with one there, though. Gardner got around him, and he was lucky Gardner's footing would not hold up.
To embellish the time on the injured reserve list, 44 games for Eric Affolter. 1st and 10 for the Pack. Ball at the 40. Thompson, first down and more. Heading to pay dirt. Touchdown, Green Bay. A 40-yard run by Darrell Thompson.
And that's something Lindy Infante is not used to seeing. Big running plays. Watch this whole line side of the Atlanta Falcons get caved this way. Tippins pursues up this way, and the hole opens up like this.
Here's Jackie. Puts the Packers out in front by a touchdown, 14-7.
Once again, watch Tiffins go up here, watch the defense all go this way, and watch that gap open up backside. Tiffins is the key. Number 52 gets too far upfield. Green gets sealed down by Cheeks, and that opens it wide open. Now it's just a track meet and a sprint straight upfield. Nothing fancy, no moves, just a gaping hole for 6.
This game summary is sponsored by McDonald's.
Green Bay, no contest in total yards. Atlanta, 7 points off of a Green Bay fumble. But hey, Randy, it's been all Green Bay. Now, you said before that you don't think the front office change will affect and would affect the guys on the field. Is this coincidence?
It still hasn't. The guys are protecting Tom Zach. They haven't done that much on the offense, and they're running the ball. Green Bay is ready to play as they have been every week. The situation here in Atlanta, the Atlanta Falcons today are not ready to play football.
Touchback on the kickoff. So the Falcons will bring it out to their own 20.
We saw it from the end zone, but let's take another look. Watch Tiffins. He comes up to about here. Watch Green. He gets sealed down by Cheeks, the left tackle. Watch what happens and see the hole that opens up right in between the hash marks. Right there. Tiffins got too far upfield. Green gets sealed down, and no support inside from the safeties means a clear track to the end zone.
13:09 left in the first half of play. 1st and 10 from the 20. Peagler turns the corner and is dragged down rodeo style by Scott Stephen. But a gain of 4 by Eric Pegram.
I mentioned again, James, Atlanta seems a little bit flat. Right now, Atlanta seems they need a little bit of a kick. They need a little something. I mean, they have their destiny in their hands as far as Jerry Glanville and the Falcons are concerned. If they win the next 4 games, they flat out, period, are in the playoffs. But, I mean, right now, letting it go into somebody else's hands and not winning your games is like skydiving and letting somebody pack your chute for you.
Not a good idea. 2nd and 6. 4 wide out. This is Rising in motion. Pegram, the ball carries. And Pegram across the 25 to maybe about the 26-yard line. We'll call it a gain of 4. They're marking it at the 27-yard line. Burnell Dent on the tackle. Randy, you talked about Jerry Glanville and his emotional appeal to his team. Earlier in the season, we talked about some of the disadvantages of going high one game and low another game.
Oh, yeah, you know, Jerry's job is kind of like Jerry Burns told us in Minnesota last week. I'm in charge of atmosphere. Glanville and head coaches, they're in charge of atmosphere. They're in charge of getting guys ready. But like Mike Ken told us, I don't think these guys are going to let this one slip away. Well, Mike, so far your teammates are starting to let this slip away.
In charge of atmosphere. On 3rd and 3, Atlanta picks up the first down, complete to George Thomas. And there's a flag. And a couple. Mark Murphy involved, along with others.
Face mask, 5-yard penalty, number 36 defense, 5 yards from the dead ball spot. Penalty makes it a first down.
And that's Leroy Butler, the 2nd-year player out of Florida State, an ex-teammate of Deion Sanders.
And here working against Thomas, Butler, another one of the Florida State cornerbacks, along with Bobby Butler and Deion Sanders here in this game. Comes in late, up around the head. Watch, right there, rips across the face. There's your face mask. Actually, the official on the sideline, as he was walking in, went to throw the flag and didn't. The back judge from about 20 yards away threw his flag in and called that penalty.
Packers lead at 14-7. Pegram, the ball carrier. And Pegram only a yard on the play as Green Bay's defense, led by Burnell Dent, on the stuff. You know, there's one thing about a Hank Bullough defense. always tough. The offense has had problems this year, but the defense, ranked 13th in the NFL, always tough.
And a lot of that ranking down being as low as it is right now, James, has a lot to do with 2 weeks ago. Minnesota gained 231 yards rushing against this defense. Hank Bullock doesn't usually give up those kind of yards on his defenses. The key, they think today, don't give up the big plays. Make Atlanta march the ball down the field patiently. They don't think that's what Atlanta does well. They say Atlanta doesn't keep their patience.
2nd and 9 from the 41. Billy Joe Tolliver gets a good block by Tracy Johnson. Tries to throw across his body. Incomplete. Aiming for Michael Haynes, who was covered by Vinnie Clark.
That move right there is physically impossible. You can't run full speed right, throw that ball over your left shoulder, across your body to a guy running full speed going the other direction. You know, right now Atlanta's sitting in a good position in the NFC West. I mean, right there behind New Orleans, 7-5. New Orleans and San Francisco. Remember, later on today in the doubleheader on CBS, you'll see those two teams going at it. San Francisco's on a bit of a roll. New Orleans is kind of starting to wonder, are we really as good as we thought we were during the season? But as excited as the Atlanta people will be about that game, this is the one that matters for Atlanta. They have got to win their game, or the other one loses a lot of importance for them.
All the rest of the game. On 3rd and 9, Tolliver completes to Risen for the first down. And Risen up to about the 37, 38-yard line.
Billy Joe Tolliver gets back here in the pocket on a bit of a low snap. Stands back there, gets great protection from his offensive line. Throws that one a little high. Watch this. Not too many receivers in the league are going to try to do a dead stop, run back the other way. And he's lucky he didn't lose any yardage on that move, but it was a very sharp move by Andre Rison.
The tackle was more of a collision on the part of Leroy Butler. 9:35 left and a half to play. Green Bay leading by 7. A boot, and it's batted and intercepted by Robert Brown. And the 10th-year veteran out of Virginia Tech finally hog-tied at about the 16-yard line. Scott Stevens was the man who got a hand on it, and a 35-yard rumble, if you will, by Robert Brown.
And this is a quick screen off to the right. You see the right side is allowed through. Steven gets his hand up. Robert Brown thinks he's got a chance at the end zone. I could be wrong. I don't think Robert Brown has got much of a chance of outrunning Mike Pritchard. Look at how fast he comes into the screen from the left-hand side, 35, and saves that touchdown. But Atlanta is letting a team in Green Bay that it should beat, and it should beat significantly, get ahead and dominate this early in this game.
Harris in motion. Thompson, the ball carrier. And Thompson tackled by Ken Tippins. 9:09 left and a half. Green Bay threatening. Packers on top, 14-7. And this is the first game of doubleheader Sunday here on CBS. The Falcons, you know, someone actually had the nerve to say, well, do you think the Falcons might be looking past the Packers, knowing that they're chasing the New Orleans Saints? And I didn't think it was possible, Randy.
They went to the playoffs in the strike year in '82. Last time they won 8 games was 1980. I mean, how do you look past people when you don't have a history of winning?
2nd and 7 from the 13. Thompson, the lone back. Tomczak. And Tomczak throws it away. Is it caught? Inbounds? Touchdown, Green Bay. Somehow Perry Kemp got both feet in, beating Tim McKyer at the back of the end zone. A 13-yard flutter pass. And we'll see if the conference with the officials holds it up.
Well, not only is there a little fluttering going on with the ball, there's a little fluttering by Tomczak in his head the way he was put down, but a great play. Throws it up there. Perry Kemp comes down in the back of the end zone. That was a real breakdown in concentration. Does he get 2 feet in? From the back angle, 1 and 2. It's going to be reviewed, but Deion Sanders and the rest of that Atlanta Falcons defense really let down mentally and did knock that down.
From the first angle, he definitely had both feet in.
Here we'll see. 2 feet. Remember, it's a catch. 2 feet. He has possession.
Oh, yeah, he's dragging the other heel, or the other toes.
The only thing they may be looking at there, to be honest with you, is did he have full possession and 2 feet down? He comes down with 2 feet down, but did he have possession at the time those feet were down before he was knocked out of the end zone?
Fritz Graff, our replay official. Take a look at Lindy Infante with Sterling Sharp, Mike Tomczak, and Don Mikowski surrounding them. Sterling Sharp, a humorous story, always has a play suggestion for Lindy Infante.
And I'm sure he'd like to help the officials rule on this, give Fritz Graff upstairs a little help. And remember, does he have possession? He does get 2 feet down, but let's watch his feet right here. And the ruling is the play will stand as called. The feet come down. They're in bounds. And he has ruled that, yes, he did have possession of the ball long enough when those feet were down for that to be a touchdown.
Lindy Infante, who told us he was not worried about things he could not control, like the front office moves, has control of the team right now. And Green Bay has control of the game, sprinting out in front of the Falcons by the score of 21-7. A very nice afternoon here down south in Atlanta. Not so nice for the Atlanta Falcon fans. Falcons trailing 21-7, 8:26 left in the first half of play. 2 plays covering 16 yards, less than a minute off the clock. Mike Tomczak lost in all of that. Was a good play by Mike Tomczak. And Jackie kicks it high and short. Sanders from the 14. And Deion Sanders takes it across the 30 to the 32, and there was talk that Sanders would not be returning kickoffs. Apparently, he wants to try to light a spark under this team.
When you're playing flat and you're playing emotionless like this, you want to get this kind of spark in, because right now Green Bay, after that last play, has got the spark. But watch Tomczak and what he goes through here on this play. First of all, there's no one open early as he fakes the play action to Thompson. Now he sees Rick Bryan, 77, coming. He goes, oh, give him a little pump fake, get him in the air, put him in the popcorn machine. Bryan tries to kick him in the leg. That doesn't slow him down. He throws this thing up for grabs. Tippin slams him to the ground. Nice job of poise by Tomczak.
8:17 left in the half. Billy Joe Tolliver out the shotgun. And throws it complete to the rookie, Mike Pritchard. And there's a flag on a play. Pritchard with the catch across the 45.
And that'll be a little spearing, I think, right there late in that play afterwards when he was on the ground.
Well, it is a personal foul. We'll see whom the call is against.
Personal foul, right hip after the dead ball. Number 37, defense, first down.
And that's the man with the longest tenure, Packer tenure on this team, Mark Murphy, 10 years out of West Liberty State.
And what Murphy does wrong here is not sort of keep his cool and composure. He's been touched. That was already done by Roland Mitchell, 47. There was absolutely no need for Murphy to come in and lay that shoulder in the midsection.
Ball is now marked at the 30.
Keep his cool and composure. He's been touched. That was already done by Roland Mitchell, 47. There was absolutely no need for Murphy to come in and lay that shoulder in the midsection.
Ball is now marked at the 39 of Green Bay, first and 10. 4 wide receivers, trips right, the handoff to Pegram, and Pegram is caught quickly that time by Robert Brown. Robert Brown, very quiet veteran, but very solid, Randy, a very solid technician.
And had nothing but good things to say about Jamie Dukes, the left tackle, and Mike Ken, left guard, and Mike Ken, the left tackle. Says they're 2 totally different guys. He goes, I'm working against Ken. He's tall. He has long arms. I have a leverage advantage. I work against Jamie Dukes, the left guard. He's only 6'1" and about 295 pounds. He says he's got the leverage advantage on me. Right there, he shed the block easily and got in the backfield.
Robert Brown spends a lot of time in the offseason working out with the Redskins up in Northern Virginia. 2nd and 9. Here comes Roland Mitchell. And Tolliver. loses 2 yards on the play. And who will the sack be credited to? Burnell Dent.
Not bad protection by the Atlanta Falcons, by the linemen, that is, because you'll see the linemen pass protecting their guys, and they've got control. But Pegram late to go pick up on Mitchell, blitzing 47 from the outside. Can't get him. That forces Tolliver to step up, and Burnell Dent brings him down.
And Dent does get the sack. 1.5 on the season for him. 3rd and 11. And Tolliver. Is it caught inbounds? Indeed it is, but he's going to be short about a yard. George Thomas with the catch. Now Randy. 6:26 left in a half. What do you do if you're Glanville? Do you go for it here?
If I'm Jerry Glanville and I got a Norm Johnson as effective as he's been this year, I try to kick this field goal right here and get 3 points and take it. Tolliver with his short roll left. Just a timing pattern. You know, Thomas catches that and gets that thing short. I think a lot of the blame on that play has got to go to George Thomas for not getting past the first down marker before he broke off his route.
You saw the numbers on Norm Johnson. 13 consecutive field goals, and what Gordon McCarter was indicating was that the play was reviewed. In fact, a good catch. Johnson's effective range 50 yards and in. This is a 47-yard field goal for Norm Johnson.
Having a good year, showing fine leg for a guy that was considered an indoor dome kicker in Seattle.
And Burnell Dent pointing at someone along the Atlanta front line, saying they were drawn off.
And if they did jump offside, you'll see a punt here on this next play by Atlanta.
Before the snap, 66 offense, 5 yards, still 4th down.
And that's the rookie Joe Sims out of Nebraska.
That was a 5-yard and 3-point penalty by Jerry Glanville's player on that one. There's Big Joe Sims, drafted as a defensive lineman. Started a game against the Washington Redskins at left tackle. But right here, watch Sims, 66, do the flinch. That's all it takes. There's the flinch. The umpire sees it, and here comes the flag.
And they're going to go for it. Atlanta is 4 of 5, the best in the league on 4th down attempts. Tolliver with all kinds of time, overthrows Andre Rison. Joe Fuller and Leroy Butler. And give Mark Murphy a little credit too, all right there. So Green Bay will take over, leading it 21-7.
We'll take another look at that 4th down play by Tolliver and the Falcons. What I find a little interesting here is the fact, why do you ask a quarterback that has played relatively infrequently to try to lob a touch pass in between zone defenders? Being chased by Joe Fuller, trying to throw it in front of Murphy. That's a low percentage touch pass.
Thompson, the ball carrier on 1st and 10, and he runs into Mo Gardner for no gain. Let's find out what's happening around the rest of the league from Greg.
All right, James, in Miami, Don Shula's decision to start Mark Higgs at running back in place of Sammy Smith is paying dividends. 19 yards, he wins the foot race to the end zone, and Miami leads the Bucs 17-7 in the 2nd quarter, JB.
Well, Greg, certainly Miami doing its best to keep its playoff hopes alive, and you don't think that the New Orleans Saints fans are cheering what's happening here in Atlanta? Falcons trailing by 14 with 4:58 left in a half. 2nd and 10. Ball at the 35. Play action. Contact with all kinds of time. Complete to Woodside for a gain of 5. We'll bring up a 3rd and 5. John Rady, alias Radar, on the tackle. Doubleheader Sunday here on CBS. Full slate coming up. New Orleans at San Francisco. San Francisco still looking good. Giants, obviously in the playoff hunt, have never beaten Cincinnati. And Washington at the LA Rams. Washington trying to clinch the division. To take a look, this is what the picture looks like right now.
You know, James, when you looked at that New Orleans-San Francisco game, Walsh will be starting again for the 4th or 5th consecutive week. I don't think Hebert is going to be back this week. We did the game earlier in the year right after he hurt his shoulder. He described a classic rotator tear to me. I don't think he's going to be back.
3rd and 5. Incomplete, no flag on the play as Deion Sanders was literally on top of Eric Affolter. Randy, just to coattail on that point again, you mentioned when he was hurt before, Bobby Hebert, that you thought it was pretty doggone serious back then.
Oh, exactly. When a quarterback can throw brief, short patterns fairly effectively, but can't crank that ball out 30, 40, 50 yards, that's when it hurts. He's ineffective. And I think that's Hebert's problem. He cannot throw long right now, and his shoulder will not let him.
Well, effective is certainly a word to describe both of these guys, Deion Sanders, 10th leading punt returner, and Paul McGulian of the Packers. Not a particularly good one, but it takes a Green Bay bounce. Sanders picks it up and is dropped at the 24. So Atlanta will have 3:54 remaining in the half to try and do something. As we take a look at the division leaders, Washington can clinch with a victory today. New Orleans needs some help. They need to win. Atlanta needs to lose. All tied up in the Central. But, Randy, here's where the scramble is.
And the numbers, the people in Dallas, Atlanta, New York, Philly, San Fran, and Minnesota have to remember. Minnesota can't really worry about it. They got to think of the number 10. It's going to take 10-6 this year to get into the wild card in the NFC. I'm absolutely positive of that. But Jerry Glanville and his Falcons, like we said, control their own destiny. They can be 11-5. If they're 11-5, they're in. Today, they don't look anywhere close to that.
1st and 10 from the 24. Complete to Risen. Risen has the first down as he steps out of bounds, being chased by Burnell Dent. Green Bay has 2 timeouts remaining. The Falcons full complement of 3. As you take a look at the Falcons, hey, you couldn't ask for a better schedule than that.
Well, if you want a showdown, take a look at that game the last weekend of the year, that Dallas-Atlanta game. That's going to decide somebody's vacation plans. One of those teams will be able to go home for Christmas after that Dallas-Atlanta game. Watch.
Dallas, of course, riding big off of the victory over previously unbeaten Washington. 1st and 10, ball at the 35. 3:28 left in the half. Falcons trailing by 14. And this is Pegram. And Pegram spinning off of the tackle, but runs into another Green Bay jersey. Good 2nd and 3rd effort, all to pick up a hard-earned 3 yards. Roland Mitchell on the tackle.
And we did a game last week, James, with Detroit and Minnesota. Saw Barry Sanders get that 220 yards. He can make runs like that as Pegram did. Those 1 or 2 yard runs. Look for the highlight film material.
Randy, he is simply phenomenal.
I wondered about after watching Barry Sanders and Herschel Walker on the same field. If Herschel's worth 8 players, which franchise is Barry Sanders worth?
Like how many? At least 2. 2nd and 7 from the 38. Tolliver complete to Pritchard, and it's a first down. Here's a guy, Mike Pritchard, the rookie out of Colorado, who has really made himself into a receiver.
And what he's done is he's worked hard in the film rooms, and he's taught himself to be a receiver. His coach, Jimmy Robinson, says the light kind of comes on.
First and 10 from the 46. 2:13 left in the half. Tolliver. And it's out of bounds as Andre Rison, being covered by Leroy Butler, caught it out of bounds.
There's Mike Ken working against Tony Bennett. We talked about Bennett and his 10 sacks. And there's Bennett doing exactly what Mike Ken told us he does best. He beats you on second effort. You think you got him beat early. You can't relax. You can't get lazy.
Mike Ken certainly hasn't been lazy all season, has yet to allow a sack this season.
If he isn't in the Pro Bowl, it's a joke. The guy's had a great year.
You ought to be adding number 6 to it. And it's incomplete. Michael Haynes had his mitts on the ball, but dropped it.
Michael Haynes did a great imitation of a defensive back knocking down that pass right there.
As opposed to a wide receiver.
Unfortunately, as opposed to looking the thing in, wrapping those fingers around the ball, and grasping it and cradling it. You see this thing comes hot and heavy. He looks it into his hands. I think the problem was being right there on that sideline. He was conscious of where am I? Can I get my feet down? Oh, yeah, the ball.
The man man who's a late bloomer. Didn't start playing football until junior college.
We haven't seen Atlanta go deep since early when they were ineffective doing it.
This is 3rd and 10. Tolliver with time, looking for Rising. Incomplete. Chuck Cecil, Leroy Butler, Roland Mitchell, all 3 in the territory. And we're at the 2-minute mark of the first half. Green Bay out in front of Atlanta, 21-7. Not a bad-looking stadium here, but very shortly it's going to become a big parking lot. And less than a full house here. Not much to cheer about as the Packers have jumped on top of the Falcons, 21-7. Scott Bullhaig is on to punt for Atlanta.
The stadium does have some life left, though, James. I mean, the Falcons are leaving, but the Braves will stay here until after the Olympics in 1996.
And then become the big asphalt surface. Surface. Bullhaig. And a good special teams play. An outstanding play by Joe Fishback.
And they're signaling touchback.
Now that was a very late signal.
The problem is Fishback does a nice job of knocking this thing back. What you have to look for is where did he leave the playing field? Is the foot in the end zone right now? Yep, foot's down in the end zone before contact's made. Very alert play by the official. And a nice try by Fishback. If he'd have gone for hang time and not taken that extra step, he might have been able to do it, but it would have been a heck of a play. There's Bobby April, the special teams coach without the hat.
So the net effective touchback, 1st and 10 at the 20 for Green Bay, and the handoff to Sterling Sharp. Adam Sharp was run out of bounds at about the 23-yard line. Only the 3rd carry of the season for Sterling Sharp. His previous 2 resulted in -3 yards. Coming up on the NFL Today Dockers halftime report, Greg and Terry with all the scores, highlights, and latest information from around the league. So stick around as Greg and Terry will not only bring you up to date, but preview the rest of the games coming up on doubleheader Sunday here on CBS. Playoff implications around. 2nd and 5. 4 wideouts for the Pack. Tomczak decides to run it. Not much doing as he gets back to the line of scrimmage. 1:36 remaining. Tomczak had the longest run last week for the Packers, 48 yards. Matter of fact, that was the longest of the season.
Smart decision to pull that down by Tomczak. He was looking at a jailbreak. The Falcons were blitzing.
Glanville's Falcons trailing 21-7. Both squads 2 timeouts remaining. 1:38 left in a half. And Jerry Glanville will certainly have to pull out his most emotional speech to get his team fired up. Lindy Infante in the meantime, plenty of good things to dwell on at halftime.
What Lindy Infante and the Packers need here is a 1st down. The last thing they need to do in this game after playing this good of a first half is to give the ball up in this situation and give a quick strike offense like the Falcons a chance for late half heroics.
Out of the shotgun, 3rd and 5. Complete to Affolter, and he looks to be from this angle like he's got it. 1st down for Green Bay. So Randy, the Packers get the 1st down. You say they needed to keep the drive alive. 1:24 and counting in the first half. And Randy, I would assume that Lindy Infante would play it safe here.
Well, with a 21-7 lead right here, looks like going back into the huddle. Green Bay, if they do take a shot, would be deep and at the sidelines. Remember, they have Chris Jackie as the kicker. His effective range would be 45 and in, and they've got a good 30-35 yards to go before getting even close to field goal range.
And the handoff. And Green Bay keeps it on the ground as Workman. An 11-yard run for another 1st down with 44 seconds left in a half. Brian Jordan on the tackle. And Green Bay burns off a timeout. That leaves the Pack with 1, Atlanta with 2, but it's Green Bay on top, 21-7. Well, whatever the reason is, And Fonte's Packers are playing inspired football here in the first half, leading the Falcons by 14 points. Green Bay 1 timeout remaining. Atlanta with 2. And no Chris Miller on the sidelines. A scratch right before the start of the game with a 103-degree temperature. Tomczak throws it low. Is it caught? Nope. Incomplete. Low pass intended for Charles Wilson. And Randy, with 39 seconds left, enough time to get up within perhaps good field goal range for Chris Jackie, who's hit a season best of 53 yards.
And that leaves you about 33 yards short right now on this play. You have 39 seconds. You're going to have to get this ball down the field. But I think at this point you take your 2-touchdown lead and you just enjoy it. This is Tony Mandarich on the sideline.
2nd and 10. Tomczak shovels it ahead to Workman. And Workman, did he get back to the line of scrimmage? Well, Atlanta calls a timeout while we wait to see where the ball is spotted. And don't forget, coming up at halftime, the NFL Today Dockers halftime report. Greg and Terry will bring you up to date on what's taking place around the league and preview a number of those important contests coming up later on. It's New Orleans at San Francisco, New York Giants at Cincinnati, Washington at L.A. And the Giants, boy, isn't that interesting? The Giants have not beaten Cincinnati, have only played them 3 times. But the Giants, with Phil Simms at the helm, will try to keep their playoff drives alive.
And you got to look at that Washington game too, James. Washington is right now the NFL's worst nightmare after losing a game. I think you're looking at a bunch of devoted veteran-type players there in Washington that wanted to be undefeated, but now that they aren't going to be undefeated, are out on a mission. These guys want to make a point that they are the best team in football. Them losing a game, I think, could be a bad sign for the rest of the NFC, because I think Washington's going to storm through from here on out.
And talking with the Redskins earlier this year, or rather make that this week, they said nothing worse than to play a team like the Rams, a badly beaten dog against the wall. As Tomczak slides across to about the 46. And Atlanta burns off its final timeout. 25 seconds left in the half. Falcons trailing 21-7. And Atlanta right now holding the number 2 wild card spot behind the Lions, but ahead of the Eagles. Not looking good here in the first half.
And to give you Green Bay fans a brief update, we saw Tony Mandarich on the sideline while the Packers had the ball. He broke something. He broke his chin strap. So he was only out for a couple plays. He was replaced by Keith Euchre, but he'll be back in there. You don't expect McJulian and the Packers, I think, to give Sanders a chance to return this ball. He's got to kick this thing to the side or try to pooch it down behind him inside the 10-yard line. You don't want a guy as dangerous as Deion Sanders handling this football right at this point.
Sanders had been hobbled by a badly bruised left thigh. That's healing better, and now the right leg is bothering him, but he wants to try and provide a spark. Paul McJulian, 10th leading punter in the NFC. Back for the pass. And McJulian with a nice punt, and that is the way special teams are supposed to operate. So the Falcons will be pinned deep. A 53-yard punt by Paul McJulian. And Charles Wilson and company on special teams. Superb job.
We saw Joe Fishback for the Atlanta Falcons do it the wrong way, stepping into the end zone before he got a chance to knock back the ball. Charles Wilson had the proper bounce and the proper technique throwing that ball back in.
4.7 hang time for that man there, Paul McJulian, who worked a long time trying to get into the league with his wife helping him with his punting.
And we see the officials, those are lunch orders they're taking. They're not discussing this play because there's nothing to discuss here. They're trying to figure out what they're going to have for lunch, because Wilson is not in the end zone. Great smart play by Charles Wilson, throwing that ball back in bounds and pinning Atlanta back deep. You expect Atlanta at this point just to fall on the ball.
Personal foul, unnecessary roughness, number 91 of the kicking team. The foul occurred during the kick. The penalty has been accepted. We go 15 yards from the previous spot. Repeat, fourth down.
Well, Randy, that was a well-disguised flag. Talk about extremely late. It's back at the feet of the official at the 41. And Brian Noble.
I don't think they threw that flag, James. I think they dropped it. Somebody stepped on it and sat on it, and it took about 3 or 4 minutes for anybody to notice it.
To give an explanation. 14 seconds left and a half, so McJulian will try it again.
And it wipes out a great play by Charles Wilson. It brings back into focus. You don't kick to Deion Sanders, even especially here, where he's got plenty of room and field to work with.
And Deion Sanders, with that unique fair catch signal, takes it at the 25. The last one, a 53-yard punt. This, a 45-yard punt. Either way, he's putting some leg in it.
And I think McJulian did a great job there, and they kind of got away with one. McJulian put good hang time on that, and Query, coming from the ends, came in and forced that fair catch by Deion Sanders.
Atlanta, Fulton County Stadium. Game between the Packers and the Falcons, and the Packers lead at 21-7. Packers trying to improve on their 3-9 record. Atlanta with the second wild card spot in the NFC, trying to improve its position.
And Atlanta's come out in their trips right formation. That's the formation they throw their Hail Marys at her.
They beat San Francisco this year with that. And they're going up top again. They were trying to tap it up, but a good play by Roland Mitchell, who batted it down as opposed to up. So an alert play by Roland Mitchell, so that the Hail Mary prayer is not answered. Packers lead it by 14.
CBS Sports coverage of the National Football League is sponsored by Oldsmobile, the power of intelligent engineering. HBO, the home of champions. And by new Coors Cutter, non-alcoholic brew. The NFL Today Dockers Halftime Report is sponsored by Levi's Dockers. Relax, you're among friends.
All of you who have been watching Green Bay and Atlanta, welcome back to our studios here in New York. Greg Gumbel along with Terry Bradshaw, 21-7. The Packers dealing a very serious blow to Atlanta playoff hopes right now, and Atlanta not doing themselves well with the penalties that they have suffered so far this afternoon at inopportune times. The Pack leads it by a pair of touchdowns. In Buffalo, the Jets and the Bills are tied at halftime at 10 apiece, and you said in the pregame show that Bruce Smith would have a big impact on both sides of the ball. How's he doing?
Well, he's had 2 quarterback pressures, which have led to 2 interceptions by Ken O'Brien. Plus, he's had a sack, which was called back. So right now, his first half performance, he looks as though he has not missed one beat. I mean, he's really played very, very well.
In that game, Jim Kelly has thrown his team record 27th touchdown pass of the season to Andre Reed. Halftime in Miami, the Dolphins were down 7-0 to Tampa Bay and came roaring back. They now lead at 24-7 at halftime as we take you to Joe Robbie Stadium, and Reggie Cobb skirts left end for a touchdown from 2 yards out. That put the Bucks on top. But here come the Dolphins. Marino for Duper.
Robo wrist. There it is. Dan Marino in the flat with Duper for 1.
That tied it. Then Mark Higgs, who got the start today, he's already chalked up over 100 yards in the first half.
You know, yeah, he ran well earlier in the year. Here's my robo wrist again. Look at this. Beautiful throw. There's Martin, great catch. Gosh, I mean, that is really pretty to watch.
24-7, Miami in the lead. And halftime at the Hoosier Dome. Now they've started the third quarter, much to the chagrin of the Colts and their fans. The Browns lead the Colts by a score of 31-0. Reminder, this is a doubleheader day of football here on CBS with all 3 of our late games impacting the playoff picture. Most of you will see the Saints play the 49ers at Candlestick. And if New Orleans wins and the Falcons lose, then the Saints will take the NFC West. Others will see the Giants play the Bengals. New York needing a win to keep its wild card hopes alive. And some of you will see the Redskins taking on the Rams. Washington can clinch the NFC East with a win or a tie. In Davis Cup action today, France has won its first Davis Cup title in 59 years. Guy Forget defeated Pete Sampras 3-1, and France takes the Davis Cup finals 3-1. And the NFL today continues here on CBS after this word from your local station.
CBS Sports coverage of the National Football League is sponsored by Mitsubishi. The word is getting around. Sony, where imagination and innovation create the ultimate in sight and sound. And by Black & Decker, the source of powerful gift ideas.
Well, the sights look good outside of the stadium. Inside of the stadium, not good from an Atlanta standpoint. Falcons trailing 21-7. And Randy, again, some strange goings on at the top of the game when Chris Miller went out with the flu. He's on the sidelines now. I mean, what gives there?
Well, he wasn't even on the field for the first half. He's now on the sidelines warming up. Maybe we'll see him in the second half. He does have 103 temperature according to the Atlanta Falcons. But Chris Miller isn't going to make the biggest difference in the second half. The Atlanta Falcon attitude makes the biggest difference. Right now, Green Bay's got the attitude to win. Right now, Atlanta Falcons are like dormant. They're asleep.
Chris Jackie kicking off for Green Bay. Eric Pegram from 1 yard deep. And hit hard by Tim Houck at the 15. So the Falcons will start 1st and 10 from the 15. And the Atlanta offense in the first half, not a lot to scream about.
Well, taking advantage of an early Tom Zach, Lewis Cheek error with the fumble by Tom Zach, getting him for that touchdown. But since then, it has not been very strong for Jerry Glanville in this offense. You got to wonder with Billy Joe Toliver. Oh, there it is. Chris Miller will start. Maybe he'll provide this spark to this offense they need, because Toliver was very ineffective throwing the ball in between the zones and getting the ball to his wide receivers.
And Randy, the reason that you gave for thinking that it should not have caused much of a problem was what? Execution-wise, he's on top of everything else?
He's been here for a full season. It's an offense he's familiar with from college. He's seen it. So it's not like he's never done this type of thing.
Well, we'll see what difference Chris Miller makes as he starts the second half for the Falcons. 1st and 10. And he hands off and keeps it on the ground and ahead for about 3 yards. And this is Steve Broussard who was carrying the ball. Broussard was thought not to even have a chance of playing today. And you talked about how ineffective Billy Joe Toliver was in the first half. Statistical embellishment there.
Oh, 50% in the one interception. But I think what was the most ineffective part of the offense for the Atlanta Falcons was the lack of spark, the lack of movement, the lack of momentum that they generated in the first half.
2nd and 6. And Miller throws it complete for the first down to Michael Haynes. So Chris Miller coming on, throwing an 8-yard pass, a 103-degree temperature for Chris Miller. And he's coming out a little hot, at least on the first couple of plays.
Look up at the top of the screen. Clark, 25, being ISO'd, working against Haynes. Gives him that big cushion we said they would give him because of the respect for the speed, and can't quite fill quick enough to get that tackle before the ball gets there from Miller.
Haynes to the top of your screen. George Thomas to the near side. And Broussard, the lone back in the red gun offense. And the blitz. He throws it complete to Pritchard for a first down and more. Mike Pritchard to the 46. A 28-yard strike from Miller to Pritchard.
Here comes the blitz along the front, specifically right here on the corner. What Miller does, just a quick little pass to Pritchard. He reads the blitz, he knows it's coming, and here's part of the difference between a Billy Joe Toliver and a Chris Miller. He knows the nuances, he knows the right buttons to push in this offense.
And Chris Miller made it very clear he much prefers the red gun offense. That's what he's got right now. 1st and 10 from the 44. And the handoff to Broussard. And Broussard slipping inside the 40 to about the 38. A 5-yard run by Steve Broussard.
And for those of you not familiar with the Atlanta Falcons, Chris Miller has had a fine year from a touchdown pass standpoint. If you look at this is the NFL. Number 4 in the league, ahead of Marino, is a strong performance. The knock against Chris Miller this year has been, though, to match those 17 touchdowns. He's also had 17 interceptions.
A streaky quarterback indeed. They say he needs to find his rhythm. He's got his rhythm right now. 2nd and 5. Ball at the 39. Atlanta marching. And it's caught by Pritchard. And Pritchard is going to be about 3.5 yards. Oh, no, they ruled it incomplete. Well, it looked from this angle as if it was a good catch. And Pritchard is arguing the case.
I guess the umpire gets priority over the line judge because the line judge ruled out a catch and the umpire ruled it a bounce. You'll get a good look at it here. Mike Ken working against Tony Bennett. The ball is batted down by Matt Brock.
That's a catch. That is definitely a catch.
Let's take another look at it. Watch Brock get up. Gets a little piece. Looks like he deflected it a bit. Does he get under the ball?
Yep.
I don't know. You know, it's kind of it's going to be reviewed, but the key to that is going to be the reception. Does he have possession? Looks like the ball bounced a little bit loose there. Nope.
Well, it's 3rd and 5. Play stands. Broussard still the back. Ball marked at the 39. Start of the 3rd period of play. 11:44 left in the quarter. Miller going up top. And is pumped momentarily by Michael Haynes. Is there a flag? There is. Vinnie Clark, the rookie out of Ohio State. Well, the Packers say that Clark has all the tools. He just needs the experience. He certainly seems to have the confidence there, smiling.
Number 25, defense. First down, goal to go.
And the ball is going to be marked at the 6 for 1st and goal.
And he must be a guy that enjoys clapping along with the crowd. Vinny, turn around before you make the contact. He runs into Haynes before he turns around to the ball. Clearly pass interference. And then he applauds along with the crowd on the call. Miller, yes. He likes it.
1st and goal from the 6. Broussard. Ryan Noble runs him out of bounds at about the 3. It'll be 2nd and goal from the 3. And Broussard, whom we mentioned should not have even been playing, Jerry Glanville has a revolving door in the backfield.
And the main reason being he truly does not have one outstanding running back. And in his philosophy, he'd rather play them all and get some effectiveness out of them. He's got little guys that can run like Pegram and Broussard. He's got Chaffing. He's got Rozier who really can pound it. You know, James, just looking at so far this first drive of the second half, if this is how Chris Miller plays for the Atlanta Falcons with the flu, he ought to infect this whole team.
And throw away the vaccination. Jason Phillips in to replace Mike Pritchard. Touchdown, Atlanta, Steve Broussard. Broussard was supposed to be sidelined with a hamstring pull. Dragged the leg along nicely that time for his 2nd rushing touchdown of the season. Norm Johnson on for the punt after. And it's good. And we've got a 21-14 ball game. Packers on top, 11-27. Left in the 3rd quarter play.
And on a super slow motion, watch this run right here by Broussard. Getting good blocking from his offensive line. Ken and Dukes, fine blocks. Murphy can't bring him down. Broussard will not be denied. Falcons now only down by 7.
Believe it or not, that is a sick quarterback. Chris Miller, 103-degree temperature, playing with cracked ribs, was in all during the first half, being pumped full of fluids and antibiotics. He comes out 2 of 3, takes his team to a touchdown. Like you said, maybe the whole team ought to be infected.
If he's got the flu, he's got the kind of flu you want the way he's playing right now in the second half.
Norm Johnson kicking off for Atlanta. And Wilson trying to turn the corner. And steps out of bounds at about the 22-yard line. Coming up next here on CBS Sports, a full slate of games. New Orleans at San Francisco, Giants at Cincinnati, Washington at LA Rams. Playoff scramble continues, in the Giants with Phil Simms at the helm for them as opposed to the injured Jeff Hostetler.
And boy, has Hanley heard about Phil Simms being a quarterback all week long. I love the way he handled the press this week. Needs a little handling, I think, from a PR standpoint on how you deal with the press, deflect questions at times. But Phil's going to be the guy for the next few weeks, if not for the rest of the season, for the Giants.
Simms certainly has handled it nicely. 1st and 10 from the 22. Play action. Sack. Give the credit to Tim Green. Four and a half sacks on the season for Tim Green.
Well, right now the Falcons are celebrating and hitting each other harder than they hit anybody in these white jerseys in the first half. And it's a good job by Green of a persistent sack. He worked, he worked, he worked, and finally he beats Cheek late and puts Tom Zach down. Remember, you're looking at a 245 to 250-pound defensive end. How do you get by? Technique and emotion.
2nd and 18. Complete to Sterling Sharp, and Sharp gets it up across the 25 to about the 26. The 32-yard line is where the first down marker is. 12 yards picked up on the play. Well, Green Bay certainly did turn in an impressive first half, and with the new boss on hand, Ron Wolf, looking on, plenty to smile about.
And what really jumps out at me in the first half, Green Bay rushed for 74 yards in the first half, James. Very untypical for them. They don't do that too often, and Ron Wolf there in the light-colored shirt in the middle has got to like what he sees.
3rd and 6. 4 wideouts in. Complete to Sharp for the first down across the 40 to the 42-yard line. Tim McKyer on the tackle. And Sterling Sharp taking a little time to get off the ground. Obviously hurt. He is one of the strongest receivers in the league. Tim McKyer knew that all too well.
Well, Tim McKyer said, I'll go right to the official right before the game and say, hey, look, I'm playing against a guy that bench presses 400 pounds. You got to let me get a little contact. He's so much stronger than me. Look at that arm over. Looks like a defensive end working against an offensive tackle. Gets that arm over. Beats Tim McKyer quick. Gets the inside, and McKyer just does get his foot, pulling him down right there by that right foot. Sharp's up. Looks to be okay.
And these two teams are up in each other's face. 21-14, Packers. 1st and 10, Green Bay. On the ground. And Woodside trying to crawl his way across the 45 to about the 47. Brian Jordan on the tackle. 5 yards picked up on that run. As we take a look at Sterling Sharp on the sidelines trying to shake it off. That catch of Sterling Sharp's gives him 4 for the game, 48 yards. He now becomes the 4th Green Bay Packer to have 4 consecutive seasons of 50 catches or more.
You saw Sterling Sharp. You know, how worried about your leg can you be when you're worried about how high your socks are being pulled up? So it would appear Sterling's going to be all right.
That'll look good. 2nd and 5. And Thompson gets up near the first down marker. He may be about a half a yard shy. Scott Case on the tackle. We'll call it a 4-yard pickup on the play by Darrell Thompson, who last week, as I mentioned, had 63 yards. He had 55 in the first half. So the ground game, again, working well for Lindy Infante and the Packers.
And Green Bay's thus far in this possession moving the ball well, running the ball. We mentioned 74 yards in the first half. Green Bay is 9-31 in games they don't get over 100 yards rushing in Fonte's tenure.
And on 3rd and 1 here, I'm not sure. Vince Workman, who is the short yardage back for Green Bay, and Scott Case.
I think you get the punting team ready. That's going to be about a foot or so short.
Scott Case in there for the tackle, the 8th-year vet out of Oklahoma.
Here we'll see it another time.
Jesse Tuggle.
Just stuffed, not only by Jesse Tuggle, but John Rady and Scott Case came in there, took out the lead block and the running back.
Jesse Tuggle is nicknamed the Hammer, and that time he put the head of the hammer right on Workman. So Deion Sanders will head back as you take a look at Scott Case. And now Paul McJulian.
The only group that hasn't contributed in the second half so far has been the special teams. Can they hear?
What an excellent punt. And Wilson was down there but couldn't get to it to keep it in bounds. 49-yard punt, 5-second hang time. 7:25 left in the third. 21-14 Green Bay lead, and great looking shots provided by the airship Shamu here from SeaWorld, the nation's premier marine life parks with locations in San Diego, Orlando, Ohio, and Texas. And Randy, when it's not appearing here for CBS,
it aids in marine mammal research for SeaWorld. How does a blimp aid in marine mammal research?
Some real high angle shots. Spotting. On 1st down, Miller decides to run it and gives himself up about 1.5 yards shy of the 1st down marker. 8 yards picked up on the run, finally tackled by Lester Archambault. And Randy, I mentioned in talking about Chris Miller at the start of the second half, not only does he have the flu, but he's battling some cracked ribs.
He did that in the game earlier this year when they played the Los Angeles Rams here in Atlanta.
Ball marked at the 28. 2nd and 2. 3 wideouts in for the Falcons. Broussard, the lone back. And this is Broussard. And Broussard runs into Brian Noble for no gain.
This game is presented by authority of the National Football League, and the CBS telecast is intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or other use of this telecast without the express written consent of CBS, the Atlanta Falcons, the Green Bay Packers, and the National Football League is prohibited.
Nice pacing, nice bouncing read.
Did I have the resonance, though?
Oh. The resonance. Well, right now, Chris Miller has the stamina. I mentioned pumped full of fluids during the first half. The question that the staff had was how long can he go? They hope the whole half.
And he's got his team excited. He's obviously provided an emotional spark.
3rd and 2. Incomplete, as Roland Mitchell was right there to push Andre Rison. So Scott Fulhay comes on to punt it for the Falcons.
Well, Atlanta's come out here hot in the first half, or here in the second half, but Green Bay served notice here in the second half also that we're here, we're still here, and we're not going to go away. Mitchell does a good job of knocking that ball away through the body of Andre Rison.
5:47 left in the third. Atlanta has pulled to within a touchdown of the Packers. And Jeff Query signals for the fair catch, but there are flags back down near the 30-yard line. 2 of them, to be exact.
It would appear you're going to have a little holding, I think, on the punting team. Ooh, procedure.
Illegal motion, left guard, kicking team, penalty declined, 1st down.
And Mike Tomczak heads back on, but next Saturday, it's a hockey basketball doubleheader on CBS Sports at 1 o'clock Eastern on Olympic Winterfest. Countdown to Albertville. Team Canada takes on Team USA in a classic ice hockey duel. Following that at 3:45 Eastern, it's the season premiere of NCAA basketball on CBS Sports as Rick Pitino's Kentucky Wildcats visit Bobby Knight's Indiana Hoosiers in a heated matchup at the Hoosier Dome. So it's hockey and hoops next Saturday starting at 1 o'clock Eastern right here on CBS. On 1st and 10 for the Packers, Tomczak drills it complete to Jackie Harris. Forward progress should be marked at about the 40. As Sterling Sharp comes back onto the field for the Packers.
Like we said, James, he was worried about his socks and with the socks up over the knees and whatnot, so he's more worried about the lower part of his leg than the back of his leg he grabbed earlier. You know, one thing about Sterling, you look at the back of his helmet, you've got those chin straps that look like they're connected to the back of his helmet. Sterling wears those because he says when he was early in his career, he had a bad habit of lowering his head when he made contact. Those straps keep him from lowering his head. He can't lower his head, and as we've all learned in the tragedy of Mike Utley, that is when the bad spinal injuries happen, when players lower their head and make them more susceptible to injury.
On 2nd and 4. And Thompson has the first down across midfield. Ryan Jordan finally tackles him. But an 11-yard jaunt by Darrell Thompson.
And Thompson has picked up where he left off last week, and that's running effectively inside. Not worrying about getting outside, not worrying about bouncing the thing, just getting up there, getting some blocks from Cheeks, getting a block from Campen, and blasting up there effectively. That is when Thompson is at his most effective, when he's running, as they refer to it, as north and south.
A Packer high on the year for Thompson, 71 yards rushing today. Topping the 63 of last week, and he wants to add more to it, and he adds a couple of more. As a matter of fact, we'll call it exactly 6 where the ball is. Thompson, the second year back out of Minnesota, rushed for over 4,500 yards at the University of Minnesota. And Lindy Infante going down the little sheet there. All the plays are working so far.
We see Mikowski on the left, Blair Keel on the right. They're faking them out. Which one's the dummy signaler and which one's the real signaler? I'm sure knowing these two guys, no one wants to be referred to as the dummy signaler.
Don Mikowski hoping to be ready for action next week against Chicago. Tomczak says, hey, I want the job. And flags everywhere. Lewis Cheek, maybe?
Lewis Cheek got a little jump. Left about 5 yards early.
Ball starts before the snap, number 78 offense.
You know,
they
had enough flags on that play. They actually could have had a bubble over this stadium.
Here they almost mirror images. Look at these two guys. They both touch your ear. One goes to the ear again. They zip across the mouth. They clap. It's amazing the synchronous. They go to their. No, that's not a signal. Mikowski just getting ready to lick his hands there. They get that quarterback kind of feel working. They even look like it. The towels around their waist.
But now in baseball, licking your tongue certainly would be a nice signal. Maybe not necessarily a nice one, but a signal. From the 48, 2nd and 8. And the handoff to Thompson. Here comes the Atlanta D, led by Torrey Epps. No gain on the play. And Torrey Epps at 6 feet, 270, showing some excellent mobility on that play.
On that play, they're bringing Jackie Harris in motion this way, then they bring him back. The idea is to create a hole out in here for the running back. It was run in the last possession by Green Bay effectively for about a 7-yard gain. This time, watch the inside pursuit. They do not get the corner, and the entire left side of the Falcons defense is out there. Good job of pursuit, setting up 3rd and 9.
With 2:15 left in the third quarter, Tomczak out of the shotgun, and the whistle stops the play. There's a flag on the far side of the field.
Ball starts before the snap, 78 offense.
And that's Lewis Cheek again, the 4th-year player out of Texas A&M.
Cheeks playing in that left. Look at those signals. I love that. Thumbs up. Got the finger through the hand held like that. You got the guy touching the shoulder. He goes down to the knee. Now Lindy's signaling too now.
Third and 13. Tomczak throwing to Workman, complete, and he has the first down. Run out of bounds at about the 35. So an improvising Mike Tomczak finds Vince Workman, who beat the rookie Brian Mitchell out of BYU. And Randy, you know, we got to give a lot of credit to Mike Tomczak. He really has played a good game, and I mentioned in the first half, it was important from his perspective to try and make the decision by Lindy Infante that much tougher if Mikowski is ready next week against Chicago.
Well, he's making the decision tough, but then again, Atlanta's making his job a little easier. They're bringing 3 or 4 guys pass rushing him. Why do you get a quarterback that you know has got to throw the ball, has a hard time anyway? He hasn't been around that long this year starting for Green Bay. Why not bring the kitchen sink at him and go after him? Make him prove he can beat you.
On first and 10, a keeper by Tomczak, and Tomczak takes it to the 28-yard line. And I'm not sure if that was a busted play or what, Randy. What do you think?
Oh, that definitely was not designed to do that.
Looked a little raggedy, huh?
Yeah. Mike Tomczak will never be confused with Randall Cunningham and Steve Young as far as scrambling and running ability. It would appear he was supposed to give that ball right there to Woodside, but Woodside got too far out. He didn't want to risk a fumble on that play, and smartly he pulls it down and goes with it.
You think Woodside and Tomczak will have a conversation on that one?
They'll have a word. Very short conversation.
Second and 5, 2 tight ends, Ed West and Jackie Harris. This one's on the ground, and this one's Thompson. And Thompson gets inside the 25. And he looks to have the first down. Well, let's see where they spot this one, Randy. View is blocked a little here. Well, if that's the spot, he's going to be short. I thought he had it from up here, from this angle.
Well, they're going to bring the sticks in and get a little measurement on it. If he's got it just by a link on that chain.
Maybe the chest hair of a mosquito. Ooh. Maybe a full chest of hair for the mosquito.
Let's watch Thompson come at us. Watch where the chain is. Look where the stick is. He fights.
Now, see, that looks like he has it.
Once again, where the official was spotting that ball as Thompson's knee went to the ground.
Where the ball
Where was the ball
and
at that time?
Past that chain, I'll tell you that.
Let's watch. As we see this in slow motion, here comes the knee. Right there. That's a good spot.
That's an excellent spot. We take that one back. Green Bay will try to go for it. Third and inches.
Frank is over the right side.
Out of the I formation. This is Harris in motion. And Workman, no question about that one. And smartly was about to get up and run because he had not been touched. But Ken Tippins and Scott Case finally touch him, and that's the end of the third quarter. Green Bay leading at 21-14 here in Atlanta. Green Bay leads it at the start of the fourth quarter here in Atlanta. Falcons trying to stay in the playoff hunt. Need to win the rest of the way. New Orleans playing San Francisco following this game. A combination of a Falcons loss and a Saints win, and the Saints will wrap up their first NFC West Division title in 25-year team history.
And Green Bay is doing this right now in very unfamiliar fashion for Packer fans lately. They're pounding the ball on the ground.
Play action. Touchdown. Sterling Sharp for Green Bay. Number 2 on the afternoon for Sharp. And Sharp working on both McKyer and Sanders.
Sterling Sharp might be one of the best kept secrets in the NFL from a wide receiver standpoint.
The players know him. And you think he probably asked Lindy to run that play again? As Chris Jackie comes on to boot the point after. And Green Bay now takes a 28-14 lead, 14:55 left in the game.
Well, we talked about the effectiveness of the running game. Sterling Sharp and the Packers throw a play-action pass. Tomczak sees Sharp has clearly beaten the coverage for the Atlanta Falcons. Deion Sanders doesn't like it, but it's reality at the moment. Another touchdown for Sterling Sharp and the Green Bay Packers.
We'll return to Atlanta after this message from your local station. You're watching the NFL on CBS. The 14-point pad. Jackie booting this one. And Sanders from the goal line. And Sanders, nice return up to about the 27-yard line. And Sterling Sharp looking to make certain Atlanta does not forget who he is.
The thing to look at right here, watch the confusion in the defensive backfield right around the 10-yard line area as Sterling Sharp clears through on this play-action fake. Here comes Sharp. Now there's a confusion. Does Deion have him? Does McKyer have him? It seems no one knows who's got Sterling Sharp. He catches his second touchdown. Tomczak gets his third touchdown. And Lindy doesn't have a difficult decision on who starts next week, I think, for the Green Bay Packers. It's got to be Mike Tomlin.
Last time Sterling Sharp was shut out was here in Atlanta back in '88. First and 10 for the Falcons. Ball from the 27. And Miller drills one complete to George Thomas. And it looks like he steps out of bounds at the first down marker. And don't forget, a nice slate of action coming up next. Washington at L.A., New York Giants at Cincinnati, New Orleans at San Francisco. And if you heard a little cheer, maybe I guess southwest of here, certainly those were the New Orleans Saints fans on that touchdown catch by Sterling Sharp. And again, because a loss by the Falcons and a win by the Saints will wrap up the NFC West for the Saints. San Francisco will have an awful lot to say about that, though.
And so will the Falcons here for the rest of this game. Remember, this is a very quick strike, big play offense.
Miller decides to run it, gets by Burnell Dent, and he's got the first down across midfield to the 49. Yep, he got his number, 12 yards on that run.
And Chris Miller's gets him early, gets some good protection, but Lester Archambault comes through and forces him out of the pocket. Miller was going for downfield for the whole enchilada and had to pull that thing down. Didn't get a chance or the protection to be able to get downfield with that ball.
The whole enchilada.
Not half the enchilada. Not a chicken enchilada, the whole enchilada.
Nothing halfway about this Atlanta squad. First and 10, ball at the 49, 13:30 left in the game. The Red Gun Packers. The handoff to Broussard, and Broussard with a nice run inside the 45 to about the 44. Stopped and tackled by Roland Mitchell. A 7-yard run by Steve Broussard. And Randy, he certainly does not look to have any problems with his hamstring today.
As Chris Miller was projected at the beginning of this day not to see any action because of the flu, so was Broussard. We were told Broussard was nursing a bad hamstring. Don't expect him to see him very much. Had one very effective touchdown run in the first half, and Chris Miller has done nothing but spark this team so far in the second half.
Second and 3, ball at the 46 of the Packers. 4 wide out, fifth right. And it's complete for the first down. Jason Phillips, third-year player out of Houston with the 6-yard pass play. And Randy, with the Falcons seriously in the middle of the playoff hunt, as I mentioned, holding the number 2 wild card spot, you might have thought there would have been a few more people here supporting them.
Well, the tickets distributed is about six or so thousand short of a sellout. Then you get about 43,000 in here. You know, maybe these people here in Atlanta have got a better handle on this team than we do. They knew maybe they weren't going to be quite as inspired. But being a holiday weekend, maybe that was the real explanation as to why people don't come.
Maybe a wait and show me attitude still. First and 10 from the 38. Broussard And Broussard is grabbed and dropped by Burnell Dent. A loss of 1 on the play will bring up a 2nd and 11. Burnell Dent, 60-year player out of Tulane, looking good on that play. And Randy, the wild card picture is indeed just that. What an appropriate title. Still a scramble.
It is wide open, and I mentioned earlier at the beginning of the game, I think 10 games or 10 wins is going to get you into the wild card.
Euro team, San Francisco, looking good. Statistically, been doing it all year long.
But San Francisco is one of those teams that even if they finish at 10-6, they need a lot of help from other people to get into the playoffs.
2nd and 11 from the 39. Atlanta needs some help on this play. Going up top for the bomb to Michael Haynes. No, touchdown, out of bounds. Boy, what a great effort as Michael Haynes was running out of real estate but stayed with the ball.
Nearly a perfect catch, but the knees came down out of bounds.
You know, they ought to give him that one just on effort.
Well, it's nice. Working here against Vinnie Clark, the rookie. Vinnie Clark just found out how fast Michael Haynes is. You think you're fast, Vinnie Clark? You think Chuck Cecil's got a 10-yard lead and they can't get by him? I got to tell you, if they review this, they're going to have to take a closer look because it looks like his knees got down. Here's the catch.
What about possession of the ball? One knee does, in fact, as John Madden is fond of saying, equal 2 feet. Does he have control?
Possession would be the key, James. Well, they really has possession because as the old one knee equals 2 feet, however you want to word it, he got enough down. Did he have possession of the ball? And will Fritz Graf upstairs rule that he has possession? You be the judge.
Always easy to tell in slow motion. Well, maybe not so easy to tell in slow motion.
Well, you like slow motion? Here's super slow motion. Here it comes. From there, it would appear I'd see the ball come out, but did he have it when he landed? The ruling has been the play as called. Here it is at regular speed. You see if you can tell.
In the twinkling of an eye.
Well, sometimes no call is better than any call.
Well, you heard the reaction of the fans. Michael Haynes, NFL's the best when it comes to average yards per catch at 23.4. 3rd and 11. And Broussard and the fans show their distaste for the play calling of Jerry Glanville as Broussard picks up only 2.
Atlanta fooled absolutely nobody on that one. And I think by going to a punt or going by a kick or going anything else, they wouldn't be fooling anybody anyway. At this point of the game, with 10 minutes and 44 seconds to go, they've got to go for it. We talked about offensive signals earlier. See, Hank doesn't use dummies, doesn't have guys around him to signal in his place. Hank Bullitt does it all himself.
Hank Bullitt keeps it simple, although his defense is complex. 4th and 1. Complete to Andre Rison for the first down.
Wow, what a play right there.
So a big 4th and 10 situation comes through for Jerry Glanville, 19 yards.
Just as Michael Haynes, is the big play down the field guy, Andre Rison is the receiver you got to look to when you look at the Atlanta Falcons as the clutch man, the man you want dancing on the sidelines, and the guy that gets the critical first downs for you.
1st and 10, ball at the 20. Still the red gun package. Miller drills it to Andre Rison, touchdown, Atlanta. The strike from Miller to Rison, who beat Leroy Butler and Chuck Cecil.
You'll see Rison come in from the left. Much like a baseball manager will go with a hot hitter, quarterbacks love to go with a hot receiver. Andre Rison on the last play catches a big first down. He's hot. He's on a roll and he's fired up. Give it to him again.
And Johnson, once again, narrows the gap. Falcons trail by 7. A hot Chris Miller, and the Falcons down by 7.
This game summary is sponsored by Budweiser.
A dandy ball game. Green Bay for the second consecutive week over 100 yards as a team rushing. Chris Miller, the story, coming off of the sick bed in the first half, 6 of 9 for 92 yards and a touchdown, and he's brought the Falcons within a touchdown.
They say quarterbacks can't play without a helmet. Don't tell that to Tolliver and Favre. Look at Miller adjusts his helmet like it hurt him. Like them butting his head when he's got a helmet on and they don't would hurt a quarterback.
Well, Randy, we talked in the first half about how there should not have been a big difference with Billy Joe Tolliver starting versus Chris Miller being down, but in fact there has been a big difference, obviously.
There really has. A lot of it's been, I think, just emotional spark from Chris Miller. He looked from the second he got in there in the second half here, from the very first second he took total control of that offense and said, come on guys, we're going down the field and we're scoring.
I think also one of the things that Billy Joe Tolliver mentioned is that he had to learn the reads and the body language of the receivers, something Chris Miller knows already. And here is Charles Wilson. Fumble! Atlanta, Joe Fishback. Touchdown, Falcons.
I mentioned today on the NFL Today, Atlanta needs 3 things: quarterback, special teams, and defense. Didn't have any of them in the first half. Here in the second half, they've had the quarterback, they've had the defense, and right here they get a big play by Fishback and Bobby April's special teams group.
This is for the tie. And we're tied.
CBS Sports coverage of the National Football League is sponsored by Chrysler Plymouth, proud sponsor of the 1992 U.S. Olympic team. Bud dry brewed so it drinks light yet satisfies completely. And by Sony, where imagination and innovation create the ultimate in sight and sound.
Albert Shelley forcing the fumble, and Fishback with the tie-in touchdown. Webb, touchback. Green Bay, 1st and 10 from its own 20.
Fishback will get the glory. Fishback will get the stats. But it's Albert Shelley right here. 37 comes in, causes the fumble. Wilson obviously never played defense with that kind of effort on a tackle. Maybe you can give Albert Shelley a few extra points. Shelley's obviously as happy, if not happier, than Fishback right here.
The special teams of Atlanta, affectionately called Jerry's Jarheads. 1st and 10.
Can Green Bay keep doing what they were doing well?
Tomzak. Complete to Sharp for the 1st down. Atlanta special teams have, in fact, been special all year for Jerry Glanville.
We saw that touchdown off a kickoff return fumble. They've got blocked punts, they got blocked PATs, they got these fumbles, those fumble recoveries. Deion Sanders has a 100-yard kickoff return. I mean, they've done everything. And Bobby April's to be commended for the job he's doing here in Atlanta. And there's your sign for Jerry's Jarheads.
A name given to the special teams by the Marines here in Atlanta. First and 10 from the 43. 9 minutes left in the game. All tied. Tomczak pumps and throws and delivers complete to Sharp. Up to midfield. And we talked about how special the special teams have been on the field. Jerry Glanville makes it a point to acknowledge how well his team has played from the previous week.
And it's something he's brought over with him from Houston. This week's honoree was Tracy Johnson. They get the helmet, you know, with the Storm the Beaches written on the front of that thing, escorted out by a Marine Corps guard. You can tell Tracy, he's the guy in the middle, smiling. Doesn't quite know how to march with the guys, but does a good job. They march him out to the 40. They march him back. This week it was Johnson. Last week's honoree, Albert Shelley, the man that came up with the big play for Atlanta. And there's Bobby April, special teams coach.
2nd and 3. This is Thompson, and Thompson has the first down. Darrell Thompson running awfully aggressively, and this is what the offensive line of Green Bay has been saying, Randy. Hey, we can run block. Let us do it.
And I've mentioned it before, James, but running in between the tackles. Letting Darrell Thompson give him some space, give him some soft spots, and let him just run up the field and pound the ball.
Ryan Jordan still down on the field for the Falcons, the third-year player out of Richmond, who led all DBs in the league last year with 193 tackles.
And what Green Bay's done so far in this possession, after a big momentum change, they've come out, they've done what they did good for 3 quarters. They haven't let the big play affect them now. You might wonder, why are you showing footballs on the sideline? Look at the names on these. Fishback, number 29. Pegram, number 41. Tuggle gets one in there too, but remember, Pegram and Fishback scored their first ever NFL touchdown.
And the other numbers Green Bay concerned with, 7:44 left in the game. And Thompson skipping ahead for maybe a yard. Ball game all tied at 28 apiece, and Mike Tomczak has been sensational.
Buffalo struggling with the Jets as they did earlier this year. There's Miami 33-7. Stojanovic has had 4 field goals in that game. Indianapolis down 31-0, but Eric Dickerson has rushed 16 times for 117 yards. Now 3rd all-time on the rushing list behind Peyton and Jim Brown.
Ryan Jordan back in after missing a series. Complete to Jackie Harris for another first down. Green Bay, as you said, Randy, standing up to the momentum shift and continuing to do well inside the 35.
Well, Green Bay today is showing the poise and the execution in critical parts of this game of a 9-3 team, not of a 3-9 team. And I think a lot of the credit for that has got to go to the quarterback on the field, as we see the 2 quarterbacks off the field signaling the play in. But Tomczak has had a very good game so far today. He's shown a lot of improvisation. He's shown a lot of skill and a lot of guts. And I think Lindy Infante has got his starter for the rest of 91 right here.
I think the Packers have shown Ron Wolf, the new GM and executive VP, an awful lot. 1st and 10 on the ground again. Thompson. And Thompson ahead. Not much doing on the play. Only one. Randy, let me carry you back to the top of the game when we talked about Ron Wolf and his impact on the Packers. I mean, how important a game is this for Lindy Infante?
What needs to be analyzed from Ron Wolf's standpoint, they're in the middle of the light shirt, and Lindy Infante's standpoint is Ron Wolf's opinion of Lindy Infante's offense. Does this offense and the way it executes, is it worth staying with? It's not like Lindy's going to change his system. So if you don't like the system, you change the coach. Does Wolf like this system? He's got to like the system he sees today.
And what went unsaid is he can't be displeased with the defense. Hank Buller certainly has done the job there. Tomczak throws it low and incomplete to Sterling Sharp.
Good job by Mo Gardner and Green to put pressure on Tomczak to force him to throw that low.
Well, some of the games that Ron Wolf is now in place to assess on the part of the Packers the rest of the season, a fairly tough schedule.
Extremely tough. Not too many teams left in the NFC this year have got all playoff contenders left on the schedule. Minnesota still not mathematically eliminated from the hunt. And Detroit and Chicago tied for the NFC Central lead.
A big 3rd and 9. Packers 7 of 11 on 3rd down conversions.
Sterling Sharp play.
And it's complete to Perry Kemp for the 1st down, and he hasn't been touched.
We
didn't see the bean bag down, but okay, the official was there. Smart play on Kemp's part, though, to keep going. He didn't think he was touched. The net effect still a 1st down, and the drive is still alive.
From this angle, we'll be able to see, was this a catch? Tomczak, nice job of lobbing this thing in. Hits him in the face. I don't think it hit the ground. Hit him in the face and hit him in the arms, but it would not appear to have gone all the way down to the ground.
And did Brian Mitchell touch him? It didn't look from the replay.
Once the whistle's blown and he's marked down, it doesn't really matter. The officials, I think, kind of quick whistled that thing.
Very quick whistle, because then it would be an incomplete pass.
Well, they marked him down. That was the thing. Once they do that, it doesn't matter.
It did not look like anybody touched him. I hear what you're saying.
Yeah, nobody touched him. We agree on that, though.
Okay, absolutely. Maybe this is how it goes up in the replay booth as well.
But when that ball came down, what they're looking at right here.
The play stands as ruled. Completed pass. First down.
The fans don't agree, James. But this is a nice call by Fritz Graf in the replay booth. Watch the ball come down there.
And if it's completed, let's see if Brian Mitchell touches him.
He doesn't touch him, but watch. It landed, or what it did, it landed down on his wrist, on his arm, and then he catches it right there. Now what you want to ask is, does Mitchell touch it? Will remain one of life's mysteries.
1st and 10 from the 13. 4:33 left in the game. On the ground down to the 10 as Darrell Thompson continues to drive ahead. Green Bay looking for the go-ahead touchdown with 4:20 left in the game. All tied at 28 apiece. Both teams full complement of timeouts remaining. 3 apiece. And Thompson huffing and puffing. But then again, what running back would not like to be doing exactly that, getting the call? Good action coming your way next. Saints, San Francisco Giants, Cincinnati, Washington Rams. 2nd and 8. On the ground again. And which side? Down to about the 8. We'll call it a gain of about 2 on the play as Bobby Butler signals for a timeout for Jerry Glanville. So Atlanta burns off one of its timeouts. 2 remaining. Green Bay still with 3.
I said it before, I'll say it again. I'm impressed with Green Bay coming back. They fumble a kickoff. It's brought back for a touchdown. A huge play. They come right back on this drive with the score tied, and they've driven it right down near the goal line.
And next Saturday, a doubleheader again for you. This will be hockey and basketball on CBS Sports. At 1 o'clock Eastern Time, we get it started with Olympic Winterfest. Countdown to Albertville. Team Canada takes on Team USA in a classic ice hockey duel. Following that, at 3:45 Eastern, it's the season premiere of NCAA basketball on CBS Sports as Rick Pitino's Kentucky Wildcats visit Bobby Knight's Indiana Hoosiers in a heated matchup at the Hoosier Dome. Jim Nance and Billy Packer will be calling the action for the season premiere here on CBS, Hockey and Hoops. Today's game was produced by Bob Monsbach and directed by Kathy Barretto. The NFL Today was produced by Eric Mann and directed by Duke Struck. The senior producer of the NFL on CBS is Ed Gorin, and the executive producer is Ted Shaker. Special thanks to our AD, Suzanne Smith. 3rd and 5 from the 8. Tomczak gets rid of it and throws it away. Brian Jordan was on top of him last year. That would have been in the grasp. Not so this year.
And at times this year, this would be called grounding the ball on the quarterback. He is obviously trying to avoid Jordan's sack here when he throws this ball out of bounds up well into the stands behind the goal line.
So Chris Jackie comes on to attempt the field goal. He's 12 of 16 on the season. This a 26-yarder. And it's good, so Green Bay moves out in front at the 3:21 mark of the game by a field goal. The Packers burned off more than 6 minutes on that drive, and Infante's Packers lead it by 3.
Green Bay and Lindy Infante, I think, got lucky here. Watch a crease open up right through here for an attempted block by the special teams. PAT field goal block team for the Atlanta Falcons. Look at the crease. Here comes Epps. He just can't get the timing right. The ball just clears his hands.
Coming up tonight on CBS, it'll be 60 Minutes. That will be followed by Murder, She Wrote. And then the Hallmark Hall of Fame, One Against the Wind. It's the true story of Mary Lindell, an Englishwoman who helped smuggle Allied airmen out of France during World War II while living in Nazi-occupied Paris. That's all tonight, coming up on CBS. Lindy Infante's Packers, when running for more than 100 yards as a team, are 14-6 on the year. Jerry Glanville looking for one last emotional push from his squad.
I think the first thing you do, you say, Ron Wolf, can we have about $3.50 so we can buy a tee for our kicker? I think he can kick it better and a little further if he can kick it off a little bit of height instead of holding it.
The Packers have the money in the coffers, too, to the tune of some $32 million. And Sanders from the end zone, a yard deep. And Sanders across the 20 to about the 22-yard line. And these teams, certainly the Atlanta Falcons, with playoff aspirations, the number 2 wild card spot they hold right now.
And with Detroit and Chicago tied at the NFC Central, one of them will be a wild card, no doubt. Plus 2 of these teams here. And how big now does this New York Giants-Cincinnati game look later today as it's part of the doubleheader?
Philadelphia does not have an easy road to remain. Boy, look at Jackie talking about.
I like that. He's got on a helmet. He's got on shoulder pads. Ken Kiffins decides Chris Jackie just ought to be a football player.
You and kickers. 1st and 10 from the 22. 3:11 remaining in the game. Complete to Haynes. Haynes, first down. Knocked out of bounds at about the 42. Michael Dangerous Haynes, 21 yards on the play. I mentioned he leads the NFL 23.4 yards per catch.
And he is in some elite company in the NFC as far as the NFL, I should say. Look at that. James Lofton, Gary Clark, Michael Jackson in Denver, John Taylor in San Francisco. Who's missing from that list, James? Jerry Rice. No Jerry Rice.
Atlanta, 3 timeouts remaining. Make that 2. Green Bay with 3. 3:04 left in the game. And complete. And Risen goes backwards.
Well, physical ability and improvisational skills are not always an asset, as shown there by Andre Rison. Get your catch. If you can make positive yards, make it.
Being mentally attuned as important. It winds up being a 6-yard play. 2nd and 4. Flip. Broussard. First down. So with 2:20 left in the game here in Atlanta, it's Green Bay leading Atlanta 31-28. Miller looking for Haynes. Incomplete, no flag. The rookie, Vinnie Clark from Ohio State.
And Vinnie Clark
right
got
there
away.
with him.
He got away with one there, James, right about the goal line. Just short of the goal line, he pushed Michael Haynes. Because Michael Haynes was right on stride. And I think that pass would have been right there. But Vinnie Clark gave him a little push around the hip and knocked him off stride.
We'll bring up a 2nd and 10 for Atlanta. Ball marked at the 31.
Let's watch right here. Here comes the push right there. Just enough to knock him off stride.
2:01 left in the game. Falcons trailing by 3. Broussard trips and falls at about the 27. And that will stop the clock at the 2-minute warning. 1:57 left. Atlanta trying to stay in the playoffs, trailing by 3.
And there's Dion, and for the Falcons, I think that hat says it all. You gotta believe, and these Falcons believe what they can do late in the game. You know, Jerry Glanville told us before the game there's a big difference between these two teams. They're pretty even. The biggest difference, we've won close games, they've lost close games.
And to be more specific, the Falcons are 5-2 in games decided by 7 points or less. 3rd and 6. And the Falcons are 3 of 8 on 3rd down conversion.
Miller on the fade.
Touchdown. Oh, they rule him out of bounds. He caught it. And George Thomas felt he was in bounds.
You see Leroy Butler with that little meek smile. What is that referred to as whistling through the graveyard? I think he knows he got away with a little something there and got lucky. Watch the end of this. They couldn't have called him out. I think what they called, James, is that he didn't have possession of the ball long enough, or didn't have possession of the ball. He is hit by Leroy Butler. I don't think he ever had the ball. That's the thing. The ball came out.
Well, Norm Johnson on for a 45-yard field goal attempt. He had a 50-yarder against the Saints.
And motion on the left side of the Falcons line. Beyond Oliver Barnett, I think, number 72.
12 starts before the snap, 72 offense.
Wow.
5 yards, still 4th down.
Well, Norm Johnson did it in overtime last week from 50 yards.
That he did.
Atlanta has made some of the classic mistakes you refer to as the ones that can kill you, the ones that can cost you ball games. Johnson kicking out of the sodded area of the field, his footing and how much traction and grab he gets on that plant foot will be key here.
This for the tie with 1:51 left in the game.
And now a flinch by the right guard, Chris Hinton. First a defensive lineman, now an all-pro.
Before the snap, 75 offense. 5 yards, still 4th down.
Well, they talk about kickers having to face adversity. Boy, his teammates are really putting Norm Johnson to the test.
Watch him flinching at the lineman. This is what the guys are facing. Right of the center, Chris Hinton just moved. You saw that. And Robert Brown and the rest of that defensive front reacts. And the offense will come back on the field. They're going to have to go for it here. At 4th and 15, 4th and 16, Atlanta has no choice because Norm Johnson is not going to hit a 55-yarder. They've got to get down to the 20-yard line for a first down.
4th and 16. No flag on the play. None at all. Michael Haynes, is there a flag?
And there's Vinnie Clark.
There is no flag as Vinnie Clark stood up to the test here.
I'm sure getting a little John from the Falcons sideline and giving him a little of the John back. Chris Miller confidently fires this ball. And what the Falcons were saying on the sideline was the contact was made by Vinnie Clark on Haynes. Officials didn't think so. Green Bay ball.
What did it look like to you?
I don't think it was interference. They seem both to be somehow involved in the pass pattern. Look at them both turn back. They're both looking back at the ball. Even if those legs get tangled, it's incidental contact. Now the question is, can Green Bay run out the clock with a newfound running game?
1:45 left in the game, and Darrell Thompson, the power back, taking it to the 40. And as Atlanta takes a timeout, leaving it with one. Doubleheader action coming your way. The Saints are at San Francisco. The Giants playing in Cincinnati. The Giants have never beaten the Bengals. And Washington looking to clinch the NFC East title, playing in LA against the Rams.
The key here for the Green Bay Packers is not to get cute, not to get dangerous. Don't drop the ball. Even if you don't get this first down, with only one timeout left for the Atlanta Falcons, they'll have a minimum amount of time on the clock when they get this ball back.
Packers, full complement. 3 timeouts remaining, 1:41. Take a look at June Jones talking to Chris Miller. Miller hoping for one more shot at it. Tom Zach taking it himself. And slides at about the 44-yard line.
And smartly stays in bounds to keep that clock going for those extra second or two before Atlanta got that timeout.
1:34 left.
With a 3rd and 4 coming up, and as effectively as Thompson's running this ball, you got to think they're going to run the ball again, get him back there, make him a soft spot, and try to crease him in there for 4 yards and a first down.
Well, Atlanta, according to our count, burns off its last timeout. And the count again that we have is that Green Bay has 3 timeouts remaining. 31-28. Green Bay on top, 1:34 left in the game. Ball at the 44-yard line of Green Bay. Randy, I tell you, the Packers, without a doubt, most inspired play of the season. As Tomzak just hurls it away. And amazingly, why would he even take a chance and put it in the air?
And put it way down the field. I mean, he put it back there where there were bodies. Luckily, he overthrew those bodies. I don't understand that one. Now you stop the clock.
Neither does Lindy Infante.
Now you stop the clock with an incomplete pass. You're going to punt, and you're going to give the Atlanta Falcons the ball with about 1 minute and 20 seconds left on the clock with this stable of wide receivers.
And Deion Sanders is back to receive this Paul McJulian punt.
That makes absolutely no sense. Atlanta could not stop the clock there. The play was to run it into the line, give him back the ball with about 30 seconds left.
And McJulian loses the handle on the ball. And Atlanta will have excellent field position at about the 38. Make that the 42-yard line.
Lindy, you ever think maybe sometimes some people can't stand success? Maybe your guys don't know how to handle a lead. McJulian hitching a bad place, Paul, right in the midst, right in the hand. He might run for a first down here. They might dome this stadium in the next half hour or so too, but I don't think so.
And Lindy Infante's expression says it all. 1st and 10. Ball marked at the 41. Falcons, no timeouts remaining.
They're within 20 yards of field goal range. Easy field goal range.
And Miller dropped from behind by Tony Bennett.
Big sack, number 11 on the season for Bennett.
1:17 left in the game.
Remember, in the last 2 minutes here, the clock is going to stop. Last 5 minutes of the game, the clock is going to stop on a sack, as it did.
2nd and 16. Add to that one if it goes out of bounds as well. Pritchard. And Pritchard inside the 40 to about the 38.
You've got a down Green Bay Packer player. Leroy Butler. If you're Chris Miller and the Falcons, you see that, you got to go at him. They got to go to the left after Butler. And they'll stop the clock on an injury.
So Green Bay forced to use a timeout as Butler grabbing that hamstring back there.
And a smart play by Lindy and Fonnie and the Green Bay Packers taking that timeout, because they obviously had a cornerback out there, Leroy Butler, that was not going to be capable of following through on that play. Here's Roland Mitchell, 47, about to tackle. Butler comes through, cuts down from underneath on Pritchard.
So Randy, if you're the Falcons, ball is marked at the 37, 51 seconds left. You play coach.
You throw it downfield far enough for your receiver to get you within field goal range. You make sure it's within field goal range. Then you run either out of bounds or you run your team down there, and you stop the clock with a quick throw to the ground. And it enables you to run another play or so off before you try that tying field goal.
The feast or famine offense of Jerry Glanville.
Remember, we talked about Norm Johnson and the season he's had inside of 45 yards. That means they need at least 7 yards, 8 yards here to put them within that range.
3rd and 6. Falcons need to get to the 30 for the first down. Complete to Risen for the first down, and he's out of bounds at about the 16.
Now you're in easy field goal range. Falcons are thinking touchdown now. They're not thinking tying this game. They're thinking winning it.
46 seconds left.
The Packers just went from trying to win to trying not to lose, because they just gave this potent four-wide receiver red gun offense 46 seconds and 3 plays to throw at him into the end zone.
Andre Rison, 7 catches.
1 defense, penalty decline, first down.
Penalty obviously declined. Andre Rison, 7 catches for 108 yards on the afternoon. Ball marked at the 16, 1st and 10.
Jerry, your guys never do it easy. Never do it the simple, easy way. They always have great finishes here in Atlanta, it seems.
Touchdown, Atlanta, Andre Rison. And it's good.
Well, we saw the hat on Deion Sanders that said you gotta believe. Chris Miller believes. Andre Rison believes. And as the theme song here, the Atlanta Falcons is Hammer's song, Too Legit to Quit. So are these Falcons. Here's Rison working out of the slot. Just flat, finds an open area in front of Mark Murphy. Touchdown. Throws the ball into the stands. The heck with the fine. You'll see Rison crossing from your right. Chris Miller sees him right now. Pulls the trigger. Unbelievable finish. And how does a quarterback with a 103-degree temperature and a flu feel about doing something like this? All in a half a day's work, gentlemen. All in a half a day's work.
And boy, you feel for this man here, Lindy Infante. Best game of the season up to that point. Chris Miller, 12 of 18, 186 yards, 2 touchdowns in 1 half of work. Rison, 8 catches, 125 yards. He's now 13 catches away from setting a new record. 3 consecutive years of catches. Wilson still on his feet. And Charles Wilson down at the 26. Don't forget, second game action of our doubleheader here on CBS coming your way. It'll be Washington at the Rams, the Giants at the Bengals, the Saints at San Francisco.
And James, the Green Bay Packers have 2 timeouts. They have 33 seconds. And to get in Chris Jackie's field goal range for about a 47-yarder, they need 40-some-odd yards to do it.
You're right. He's got to go all the way. That's right. They've got to get a touchdown. Atlanta leads at 35-31. 30 seconds left. Tomzak with all kinds of time. Nearly intercepted by Bobby Butler. 26 seconds left in the game.
You talk about zone defenses, you know, be deeper than the deepest guy. There is no way the Green Bay Packers can run by the deepest Atlanta Falcon right now, because the deepest Atlanta Falcon defender seems to be lining 30, 40 yards off the ball.
Giants already ahead of Cincinnati, trying to break that drought against the Bengals. 2nd and 10. 26 seconds left. Ball marked on the 26. Flags on the play. Complete to Kemp. And Kemp trying to call a timeout while he was running, but there's a flag back near the 24-yard line. And one on the far side at the 26.
Offside. Number 56, defense, lined up in a neutral zone. Penalty declined. First down.
As Darian Connor, as Lindy Infante wants to make sure his troops understand clearly what to do.
Now watch Kemp. This is tough to do. He's covering the ball and calling a timeout. Right now. Okay, they got me. Give me a timeout. This puts Green Bay into the Big Ben range, as they refer to it down here in Atlanta. The big play where you put your trips receivers out wide and you throw the bomb down towards the goal line.
Kemp on the ground, 5 catches for 87 yards, and I think with those numbers, Ron Wolf wouldn't care whether the California University is at Berkeley or in Pennsylvania. 5th-year player out of California University in Pennsylvania, limping off the field. 15 seconds left in the game. Ball marked at the 48 of Green Bay. 1st and 10. Again, the Falcons with no timeouts. Green Bay with 1.
I think if Green Bay had a little bit more time left, James, it would afford them the luxury of getting further down the field, calling a timeout, and then taking a shot into the end zone. Right now, I don't think they have any choice as they line up with their trips receivers right. If anybody has practice stopping this play, it should be Atlanta.
Incomplete, thrown in the direction of Eric Affelter. And the Packers wanted pass interference on Tim McKyer as Affelter went down before the ball got in his direction. 9 seconds left. The Falcons trying to hold on to the number 2 spot in the wild card playoff picture as it stands right now.
And they might be able to get 2 plays off here by the fact Packers in 9 seconds. It's going to be tight. This might be the last play of the game.
On 2nd down. Tomzak hurling it well short of the goal line. Incomplete. And that does it. The clock expires. So for Randy Cross, this is James Brown saying so long from Atlanta, Fulton County Stadium, where the final score, Atlanta 35, Green Bay 31. CBS Sports coverage of the National Football League continues after this.